Good evening, everybody. This is Caleb here with Indiana Weather Online, Indiana Weather Network. We are live for likely going to be a long duration stream here tonight. We have a very powerful storm complex moving through eastern Illinois from southern Illinois all the way down towards St. Louis, all the way up to the Chicago area. This has been a very extensive line and a very powerful line of storms through Illinois, producing spin up tornadoes, winds up to 70 miles per hour. Currently, a tornado watch is in effect for most of western Indiana and northwest Indiana. I'll go ahead and toggle that on here. We're going live a little bit early before storms enter Indiana, as this line looks to maintain its intensity as it enters western Indiana. Let me go ahead and toggle on that tornado watch. It just got issued a little bit more downstream, so we'll go ahead and get that on here for you. Here we go. All areas in yellow are under a tornado watch for northwestern Indiana for 11 o'clock Central Time. And then a tornado watch just got issued from Terre Haute up to South Bend. And this tornado watch is in effect until 3 a.m. Eastern Time in northern Indiana and western Indiana. Currently west of I-69, does not include Indianapolis, Noblesville, or Fort Wayne. We do expect a gradual weakening trend of this line as it enters central Indiana, but when does that occur is yet to be known. This line is currently producing winds up to 70 miles per hour, as well as spin-up tornadoes along the leading edge. In fact, we have tornado warnings from Juliet, Illinois, all the way down to Urbana, Illinois, including the Kankakee area, Pontiac area, Gibson City, Paxton, and just south of Juliet. And this is for spin-up areas of rotation. We call those mesovortices. Those are shallow-rooted areas of rotation along the leading edge of the line. Main hazards here tonight: damaging winds, 60 to 70 miles per hour, as well as spin-up tornadoes. The hail risk is quite low, but outside of severe weather, hydrologic concerns are could be problematic tonight, especially western Indiana, where the rain is expected to be the heaviest. Ponding, excessive rainfall, renewed river swelling, all possibilities here tonight. We have a flood watch in effect for northwestern Indiana until tomorrow morning, I believe. I'll go ahead and toggle off the tornado watch, but again, all areas in yellow currently in a tornado watch until northwest Indiana is in effect until 11 p.m. Central Time or midnight Eastern Daylight Time in areas from South Bend, Lafayette, Terre Haute, in effect until 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Couple tornadoes possible, scattered damaging wind gusts of 70 miles per hour possible. We do expect a gradual weakening trend of this complex as it moves across Indiana, but when does that occur is yet to be known. We do expect it to happen, but we don't know exactly how fast or where at in Indiana it will occur. Currently, the highest risk for severe weather are areas under the tornado watch, generally northwest Indiana. We do have chasers out in the field. We have Dakota out in the field. He's in northeast Illinois near the Indiana-Illinois state line. He's currently watching these storms as they move into northwest Indiana. And we have Cody also in northwest Indiana. He'll be out there monitoring things in real time for us here this evening. Let me go ahead and toggle off that tornado watch, make it a little less messy here for you. Currently, we have severe thunderstorm warnings up until the Indiana-Illinois state line, as well as tornado warnings from Urbana, Illinois, all the way to the Juliet area. These storms are moving east at about 55 to 60 miles per hour, so they're moving fairly quickly across eastern Illinois and into western Indiana. The National Weather Service has gained confidence of these storms maintaining their intensity of strong to severe a little bit further east than expected. These storms are maintaining themselves pretty well, but we do expect a gradual weakening trend at some point this evening. The greatest risk for severe weather, we do still expect to be west of I-69, but when does that weakening trend start and how fast does it occur? That's the question mark right now, and that's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on as we go throughout the evening here in the overnight hours. We do expect this to go beyond midnight. So we have on the stream title, we have 417 through 418. We do expect this to carry on into the overnight hours across Indiana. I'm going to go ahead and turn on relative velocity. So we're going to have a split screen here. And what this is going to show, it's going to show rain and how heavy the precipitation is on the left, but what our winds are doing on the right. So what we see here are some pretty bright colors here, and these are within the tornado warning. And I'll show you a little bit of kinks. These kinks in the line that I just circled there, those are what we're going to be keeping an eye on here tonight as this line moves into Indiana. These are what we call mesovortices. These are shallow couplets, shallow areas of rotation embedded within the line. So you have a damaging wind risk, but also the chance for a spin up tornado as it moves into Indiana. Currently, no warnings here in Indiana, but likely we're going to see those warnings during the next update, during the next warning issuance by the National Weather Service, either in Indianapolis or Chicago, Illinois, as these storms move into Indiana. These storms are moving fairly quickly, and they've been warning about a county and a half ahead of these storms, giving you guys plenty of a heads up ahead of this powerful line of storms moving into western Indiana. We do gradually expect a weakening trend, but where and how fast is yet to be determined. That's the question mark. Looking at the environment across central and eastern Indiana near the Ohio line, we do have surface stability starting to show up on guidance. And what that is essentially going to do, these storms are hopefully going to run out of gas as they approach I-69. That's the theory, that's the concept, and that's the data that we see right now. But when and how far and how fast these storms weaken as they move across Indiana, that's the question mark right now. We do expect these storms to be at peak intensity right about now, with a gradual weakening trend expected, but how far east will these storms go is yet to be determined. So remain alert for severe weather tonight across western Indiana, west of I-69 and northwest of Bloomington. I'll go ahead and toggle on the tornado watch one more time here for you. We do have a tornado watch extension, the National Weather Service in Indianapolis and northern Indiana, going ahead and issuing a tornado watch downstream as confidence has increased in the threat of strong to severe thunderstorms continuing a little bit further east than what we thought, but still right along our forecast parameters for today. Strong to severe thunderstorms generally west of I-69, especially northwest Indiana. So the forecast is currently on track here today. Northwest Indiana till 11 p.m. Central Time. And for Eastern Time, we have South Bend, Goshen, Logansport, Lafayette over to Terre Haute in effect until 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The tornado watch as followed. A couple of tornadoes possible. It does have hail up to 2.5 inches, but this was largely for those isolated supercells in Illinois earlier today. I do believe the hail threat is lower now that we have a line or a complex of storms, but isolated hail up to quarter size can't be ruled out in those isolated updrafts along the leading edge of this complex. But I do think the hail risk is quite low. Primary risk, damaging winds 60 to 70 miles per hour, anywhere in areas shaded in yellow, as well as a spin-up tornado risk can't be ruled out. Winds up to 70 miles per hour, 70, are all possible within this line of storms. Again, tornado watch northwest Indiana until 11 p.m. Tornado watch in Eastern Time from LaPorte, South Bend, Goshen, Elkhart County, Howard County, all the way down to Terre Haute, Indiana, until 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So this will carry on past midnight into the early morning hours of Saturday morning. The good news is, though, we had a potential risk on Saturday during the day, but because this is arriving earlier and we have a cold front moving through tomorrow morning, that'll eliminate the severe weather risk tomorrow afternoon. So this is our severe weather risk right now. And tomorrow afternoon, temperatures will drop, and then we do not expect any severe weather tomorrow afternoon. So this is the main event. And before we get a little bit of a break from severe weather into next week before potentially turning active again by the end of the month, let me go ahead and turn off our tornado watch, make it a little less cluttered here for you. These storms are about ready to enter northwest Indiana, about a county away. Likely going to see some warnings extended here from Newton County up to perhaps Lake and Porter County here pretty soon on the next warning package issued by the National Weather Service. So we're going to have to watch that as we continue here. Let me turn on our winds here again. You're going to see this dual split screen here tonight, as this is crucial for looking for what we look for meso vortices. Here's a couple of them. Let me show you. Little kinks in the line here. You can see these little squiggly marks, little S curves in the line. These are what we're going to have to watch for going into tonight. These are short-lived areas of rotation that spin up very quickly. These are what we call spin-up tornadoes. That is going to be a risk here associated with these lines. They spin up very quickly and without little to no warning as well. Sometimes you can have a mesovortice spin up in between radar scans and have a tornado drop and lift before the radar comes back around. That's how fast these things can spin up on the leading edge. So If you're under a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning tonight, do take them seriously, as that is the risk here tonight. Damaging winds, as well as a possible spin up tornado. And it's these little kinks in the line that we're going to have to watch for as these move. They're about a county away from Indiana, but these little kinks in the line are what we're going to have to watch for as this line moves into western Indiana. Currently, tornado warnings from Juliet, Illinois, down to Urbana, Illinois, and severe thunderstorm warnings to the Indiana-Illinois state line. Likely going to see some warnings extended into Indiana, probably here within the next few minutes or so, as this line works a little bit closer to the Indiana line. But we wanted to come on here live a little bit earlier here this evening. A lot of times we'll wait until we see warnings here in Indiana, but we have high confidence that we're going to see warnings here in Indiana with this line maintaining its intensity, at least for now, early on here this evening across western and northwestern Indiana. Terre Haute and north is where we have the greatest confidence, in west of I-69, generally northwest Indiana, highlighted in our forecast package earlier today, and things seem to be going on track as far as the forecast is concerned. We do believe it's at its peak intensity right now, with a gradual weakening trend expected sometime soon. But when and how far east will that occur is yet to be known. That's the big question mark right now. How far and how strong will this line be as it moves into Indiana? For how long? That's what we don't know. The National Weather Service issuing a watch extension until 3 a.m. from Elkhart County all the way down to Terre Haute, Indiana, just for that possibility of this line maintaining its intensity at least that far. Lesser confidence along the I-69 corridor. We do expect this line to weaken somewhere between point A and where it is now, point B. So somewhere in here, we do expect the line to weaken at some point. But when and how far does that occur is kind of the question mark right now. It really is a wait and see to see how this line evolves. We do expect, though, it's at peak intensity right now. The greatest threat for severe weather, though, I do believe, is in this zone here, northwest Indiana. This is where the line is expected to be at peak intensity. And as it moves into Indiana, it has the greatest risk for severe weather from winds 60 to 70 miles per hour, as well as a spin-up tornado. Area circled in white, northwest Indiana, including Lafayette, Valparaiso, and South Bend, as well getting into Berrien County, St. Joseph County, Michigan as well. Heads up there if you have any friends in Southwest Lower Michigan. Same applies there as well. Probably going to be seeing a new warning coming in for Indiana here pretty soon as this line gets a little bit closer to the Indiana line here. We're very close from seeing our first warnings here in the state of Indiana. I will not answer specific locations. A lot of questions in here asking for exact locations. I'll do my best to give you a general idea, such as the area I just circled a few minutes ago. But if I'm not talking about your exact location, you're probably okay for the time being. But do remain weather aware here tonight, especially across northwest Indiana. I'll go ahead and circle it for you. If you're in this zone here, this is where the highest concern is over the next couple of hours. If you're outside of this zone, remain weather aware, but the severe weather risk is a little bit lower for you guys, especially east of I-69. So Fort Wayne, Indiana, Indianapolis area, Indiana, while the severe risk is not high, it's not zero either, but we have a long ways to go before this line gets to you guys here. So remain weather aware, but for right now, you guys are okay. We do expect that weakening trend to continue to start at least here soon. So, but for now, it is a very strong line of thunderstorms as it's moving across eastern Illinois. Severe thunderstorms now, or warnings up to the Indiana-Illinois state line. We do expect to see some warnings here extended into Indiana here shortly. These are a couple areas to watch here. If you're in northwest Indiana, are these little kinks in the line right in here and right in here? This is across northwest Illinois, just south of Juliet, northwest of Watseka. These are these little mesovortices that we're talking about. You can actually see the hook on radar here just south of Juliet. These are these little spin ups that we're going to have to keep an eye on as this line moves into northwest Indiana. In fact, likely, possibly going to see a new tornado warning coming in for the Kankakee area. Well, there's our new severe thunderstorm warning. This is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning now for Indiana. This is a level 2 out of 3. This includes Chesterton, Gary, Rensselaer. This is a huge warning blanketed across northwest Indiana by the National Weather Service in Chicago. 70-mile-per-hour winds, 7-0. Possible tornado as well as penny-size hail. These little mesovortices right in here, another one right in here. These little kinks in the line are what we're going to have to watch for damaging winds, as well as a possible spin-up tornado. Again, this is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. This is a level 2 out of 3. A lot of people don't know, but severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings have different levels to them. There's different tiers to these warnings. Considerable is a level 2 out of 3 for our severe thunderstorm warnings. Once we see 70-mile-per-hour winds or golf ball size hail, it becomes considerable. Once we get to 80-mile-per-hour winds, then it becomes a destructive severe thunderstorm warning. But for now, we're at level 2, 70-mile-per-hour winds. That's significant. That can cause extensive tree damage as well as damage to roofs and sidings. So do take this seriously. Interior room, away from windows. Treat this as a tornado warning. That's the best way to put it. With all of these little mesovortices, these little kinks in the line, treat this as a tornado warning, especially with 70-mile-per-hour winds. Interior room, away from windows until the storm has passed. They're issuing this well in advance, about 2.5 counties downstream of this storm, to give you guys the most warning as possible, and likely going to see possibly a new tornado warning. We're getting close to that criteria here north of Kankakee. Nice mesovortice there, and a couple of them up here. Now, do keep in mind, on these shallow end events for these mesovortices, the rotation may not show up as strong on radar as what it is at the surface. These are very shallow in nature. You can have spin-up tornadoes on reflectivity that looks rather weak on radar. Do keep that in mind. Another reason to take these severe thunderstorm warnings very seriously across northwest Indiana, as tornadoes can spin up very quickly along the leading edge of these setups. We have a lot of wind shear out there tonight, and this line is certainly tapping into that as it moves into northwest Indiana. This is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning, a level 2 out of 3. This is 70-mile-per-hour winds, tornado possible, and penny-size hail. So while the hail is below severe criteria, the winds are well above severe criteria at a considerable threat at 70 miles per hour. This is for Newton County, Benton County, Porter, Lake, and Jasper until looks like 11:15 Central Time or 12:15 Eastern Daylight Time. This is currently in Central Time here in northwest Indiana. At 10 p.m. Central Time, severe thunderstorms are located along a line extending near Wilmington, near Clifton, near Cessna Park, moving northeast at 60 miles per hour, 65 miles per hour. These storms are moving at near freeway speed as they head east into northwest Indiana. Hazard 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Expect considerable tree damage. Damage is likely to mobile homes, roofs, and outbuildings. Remain alert for a possible tornado. Tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms. If you spot a tornado, go at once in a basement or a small central room in a sturdy structure. In fact, I want you to be in your safe place already. Do not wait to see these tornadoes. These tornadoes spin up very quickly. It's dark outside, and these tornadoes could be rain-wrapped as well. QLCS tornadoes are very difficult to spot, and they spin up very quickly. So again, interior room, away from windows until this storm has passed. This is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning, 70-mile-per-hour winds, and a possible tornado. A couple of possible spin-up tornadoes possible along this line. I do want to point out we have a couple of our chasers on the road here tonight. We got Cody currently. He's in northwest Indiana. Cody, if you can hear us, go ahead and let us know where you are at while Dakota is repositioning there on the Indiana-Illinois state line.
Yeah, I'm currently in Winfield, Indiana right now. I'll have a good view on this once it's across the state line.
Sounds good. Thank you, Cody. He is in northwest Indiana, just waiting on these storms to come in. So thank you for that. And we have Dakota. He's currently on the road in northwest Illinois. He's getting pretty close to these storms here. He was up in northeast Illinois here, getting pretty close to these QLCS couplets that are coming in. This one here in particular has my eye, and it is, wait on the next scan coming in. This is the one southwest of Chicago Heights, right in there. A couple of them here, actually, right in here and right in here. I have a couple of them there. Right where you see these brighter greens and reds kind of holding hands a little bit here, you can actually see the hook on radar and a little kink right in here. These are mesovortices. These are what we're going to have to watch as these storms move into northwest Indiana. And those are areas where a quick spin-up tornado can occur within this line, on top of damaging winds possible as well. This is why we have a tornado possible tag in our severe thunderstorm warning. All hazards are possible from a possible tornado, as well as 70-mile-per-hour winds. These storms are currently moving northeast at 65 miles per hour. So very fast-moving complex of storms. And the fast-forward motion of the storm, the eastward propagation here, is also going to allow for the damaging wind risk to extend a little bit further east as well. The faster these storms move, a lot of times the further east, despite entering a more stable atmosphere, the faster these storms can move, the slower they'll weaken with eastward progression. So we're going to have to watch that closely as these storms move into Indiana. We're about a county away from these storms moving into Indiana. We have a considerable severe thunderstorm warning in effect for northwestern Indiana. This is for 70-mile-per-hour winds, tornado possible, and penny-sized hail. This is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. And this is until 11:15 Central Time or 12:15 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. These storms are currently moving northeast at 65 miles per hour, 70-mile-per-hour winds. Damage to roof, siding, and trees is expected within this line. Treat this as you would a tornado warning. Interior room, away from windows until this storm has passed. Remain on alert for a possible tornado as well. We have some kinks in the line. This line is really kinky, where we have these little kinks in the line. These are called mesovortices. These are what we're going to have to keep an eye on as they move into Indiana. Sometimes the area of rotation may not show up to its true strength as it is below the radar beam. These are really have a history of being very shallow in nature with these setups, and sometimes the rotation is actually strongest underneath the radar. So anywhere within this line, we were on alert for a possible tornado, as well as damaging winds up to 60 to 70 miles per hour. Moving back down here south, we're going to have to watch this line in south central Illinois. That'll be moving towards the Lafayette area, as well as areas Terre Haute and north. Indianapolis currently not included in the tornado watch. We're going to have to watch the southern end on how strong this is as it moves in your direction. I do think the greatest risk for severe weather is going to be north of I-70, but we're going to have to watch Indianapolis as you're kind of right on the edge of where the greatest threat currently is. Personally, I think these storms are going to skirt just to the north of the Circle City, but we're going to have to keep an eye on you guys as these storms, if they make an eastward turn or maintain their intensity a little bit further south than expected as well. This line is currently moving very, very quickly at 65 miles per hour. The faster these lines move, the further east the damaging wind risk or that risk for a spin-up tornado will be as well. We do expect a weakening trend to start any time with this line, but where at, how fast is yet to be determined. Looking at mesoanalysis, our environment downstream of this system across Indiana and Ohio, we are stabilizing at the surface. So we have that atmospheric stability that this line is going to be running into that should, in theory, begin to weaken this line as it moves into that stable air mass. But the faster this line moves, the slower it'll weaken, and the further east those damaging wind gusts could go. So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on as these storms track east across Indiana here this evening. And I got a word from Dakota. He is currently in northeast Illinois. He is reporting power flashes, so we're going to go ahead and take him full. Give me just a second here. Let me let me pop him up here on stream. Here's a live look at Dakota in northeast Illinois. He's currently up here near Memento, and there is a mesovortice right there. So we'll see what he sees there. This could be damaging wind-related power flashes. Winds up to 70 miles per hour are possible in this line, as well as a possible tornado. Kind of have two areas of spin there, near the Manhattan area in Illinois, the Petone area, and Manteno area. Rotation has been noted there. So we'll watch his screen there. Currently, he is facing south, and these storms are just off to the left side of your screen as they're coming in his location. Dakota, if you can hear us, if you want to give us a live update here on the stream, you're more than welcome to do so.
Yeah, we're heading south. We are now facing west towards the town of Manteno. We saw power flashes multiple times and finally got to position.
So Dakota just relayed here behind the scenes. He saw a couple power flashes. There's some lightning there. Power flashes often show up blue near the surface from electric arcing, and that can be due to winds, but also or a possible tornado as well. So where he is located at, he's currently located right in here. So just a few miles west of the Indiana-Illinois state line, and he's tracking these storms as they move into northwest Indiana. So some power flashes have been noted here near the Manteno area. I'm going to butcher some of these names. I'll just apologize in advance. If I mispronounce your town here tonight, no foul intention, but it may happen. I am from Indiana, so you never know. Something here to watch, though. This rotation here has gotten a little bit more of a couplet to it here, as it just outside of the Manhattan, Illinois area, moving towards the Park Forest area. See how these colors are holding hands. This is this mesovortice, that QLCS spin up that we're talking about. So we may see wouldn't be surprised to see a tornado warning on that as it moves towards northwest Indiana. Still about a half a county away from these storms entering Indiana. Currently a considerable severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 11:10 or 11:15 Central Time. 70 mile per hour winds, tornado possible, and a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. Damage to roof, siding, and trees expected with these storms as they race northeast at 65 miles per hour. We are going to be tracking these storms live here for as long as it takes here this evening to keep you guys ahead of the storm. And a quick shout out to our sponsor here of this live stream. Wouldn't be possible without Rookers Outdoor Services based in the Indianapolis area. If you have any tree damage or trees that you want to get taken care of before the next storm hits, give them a call, 317-665-3969. That is Rookers Outdoor Services, proudly serving the Indianapolis area. A big shout out to our sponsors that make this live stream possible to help keep you ahead of the storm. Speaking of the storm, we are about a half a county away from entering Indiana. Considerable severe thunderstorm warning in effect for northwest Indiana, and there's a tornado warning now coming up to state line for these little mesovortices that we're talking about. Wouldn't be surprised to see another tornado warning up here in northeast Illinois, just a little bit to the north. This couplet actually has my eye a little bit more, but all of these little couplets, anywhere you see little kinks in the line, these are all areas of a little bit of spin along the leading edge of this line, interacting with the wind shear that we have ahead of this line. And you'll notice these spin up very quickly, and they'll dissipate really quickly with new ones forming. So those are what we're going to have to watch as we head into the evening here. And actually, another tool that you're going to see us use quite a bit is called correlation coefficient. And this allows us to, we used this for hail the other night. If any of you guys were watching here, basically what this tool does, it separates raindrops, which are uniform in size, and it's looking for irregular shapes and sizes of different objects that are lofted in the air. That can be hailstones bouncing around within a storm. That can also be debris getting picked up by a tornado. It's looking for objects moving at different velocity and of different sizes And something that we'll have to watch for, kind of like this right here, kind of has my eye. Let me hit play here to see if that moves. So this could be a little bit of clutter there. Kind of see how it's associated with a little bit of a boundary. Could be dust or birds getting kicked up along the outflow boundary, but that could also be a possible tornado there as well. So a lot of times QLCS spinouts on the leading edge are very hard to spot. But anywhere along this leading edge, we have to remain alert and vigilant for a possible tornado anywhere along this line. This is a radar indicated tornado warning. Right now, that looks to be more clutter versus a tornado in progress, which is good. I do believe that is associated with the gust front. As you can see, it matches on areas south. But the rotation is there on radar. You can see these kinks as they're just kind of traveling along the leading edge of this line. I'll go ahead and pause it here to show you what I mean. I'll circle them for you. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, a little bit to the south there too. So at least 5 different areas of spin along the leading edge of this line, which is why outside of the tornado warning, this entire warning, up and down this entire line, is warned with tornado possible outside of a damaging wind risk. So remain alert for a possible tornado anywhere up and down this entire line of storms as they move into western Indiana, as there's little kinks along the entire edge of this storm moving into northwest Indiana. We're just moments away now from these storms entering Indiana. These storms are racing northeast at 65 miles per hour. Hazard 70-mile-per-hour winds, as well as a possible tornado. No tornado warnings currently in Indiana yet, but we do have a severe thunderstorm warning, a considerable severe thunderstorm warning, as well as winds up to 70 miles per hour, 70. That is why this warning is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning, due to the extensive threat, considerable threat of damaging winds along the leading edge of this line. So if you're in anywhere in this severe thunderstorm warning, I would encourage you to treat this as a tornado warning. Interior room, lowest level of your home, away from windows until this storm has passed. 70-mile-per-hour winds are actually on the scale of weak tornado. Weak tornadoes can have winds of 65 to 80 miles per hour on a low-end tornado. So these winds are straight line winds. They're non-tornadic at this point in time, but straight line winds can be just as strong as a weak tornado. Whenever you get a considerable warning or a destructive warning, interior room, away from windows until this storm has passed. And this area of rotation near State Road 1 in Illinois is actually increasing here as it heads towards the Schneider area and Crown Point. If this continues, we may see a tornado warning extended into Indiana near the US 41 corridor south of Crown Point. And we have a couple other areas of spin that we're going to have to watch too. But the one currently tornado warned has my eye currently, as it is showing signs of a little bit of intensification here as it moves towards the Lowell area and Schneider area in northwest Indiana, as well as Shelby. So do keep that in mind. If you're in southern Lake County, watch out for this storm headed in your direction. No tornado warning for you yet, but you are under a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag associated with it. So do remain alert for possible tornadoes. But we will keep you guys ahead of the storm here to the best of our ability here tonight. A lot of things to look at here tonight, as these setups are very busy, as I do have other radars here running behind the scenes that will allow me to see cross sections of these storms and a little bit more of a look. And here we go here. So this storm is actually occluding here near the Grant Park area. You can actually see what we call a donut hole signature on radar, where you have a really good cross section here. You have inflow coming in here, and you can actually see that curlicue. So this is a rain wrapped circulation south of the Grant Park area coming into southern Lake County, crossing State Road 1 I don't see any debris yet on radar on our debris tracker here behind the scenes, but this area of rotation really concerns me as it's moving towards Indiana. There's the latest scan there, a really nice embedded circulation, a really nice hook here. This is a rain wrap circulation as well as it moves towards the Indiana-Illinois state line towards Lowell and Schneider. If you're in Southern Lake County, now's a great time to be in your safe place, interior room, lowest level of your home. They're broadened out just a little bit, but don't let that give you a false sense of security, as these areas of rotation are likely very shallow. So that's something we're going to have to watch here as it moves into Indiana. But a really nice embedded supercell here on the leading edge of the line here. This is a classic QLCS mesovortice on the leading edge of this line here. You can see that embedded circulation along the leading edge. You have inflow coming in here just south of Grant Park with straight line winds on the southern end of that, and it wraps up into itself just south of the Grant Park area, State Road 1, coming into southern Lake County. So it's these little quick spin ups that we're going to have to keep an eye on as it moves into western Indiana. So anywhere within this warning, be on alert for 70-mile-per-hour winds, tornado possible, 70-mile, and penny-size hail also a possibility. Moving back down south here, I don't want to leave anybody out. Northwest Indiana currently is the primary risk here for severe weather, generally north of I-70. If you're north of I-70 along this leading edge right in here, this is the area to watch. So if you're in Indianapolis and you're kind of not directly in a higher severe weather risk at this point in time, now if this line were to back build further south, we would have to be a little bit more concerned for Indianapolis. But for right now, these storms look to skirt just to your north a little bit, with the greatest severe weather risk up in here, just to your north. And from Lafayette, Indiana, Terre Haute, Kokomo, Warsaw, and Elkhart County up to Goshen. This vicinity right in here is going to be the area to watch over the next hour or so. This area has the greatest potential to see strong to severe thunderstorms over the next hour. We do expect gradual weakening at some point as these storms approach the I-69 corridor right in here. So sometime between, I don't know why that line carried up with me. Let me redraw that here because that is confusing. So here's the I-69 corridor. Here's our storm complex right in here. So sometime between this X and right here, we do expect these storms to weaken. But due to the fast forward motion of these storms are moving east at 65 miles per hour. This may extend the damaging wind risk a little bit further east. Despite these storms moving into a relatively stable environment, because of the fast motion of these storms, that may extend the damaging wind risk ahead just a little bit. And I do want to draw your attention to, we have some weather cams currently active here across Indiana. Here's the Wells Street Beach Cam, watching storms offshore of Lake Michigan. Just a beautiful storm structure there over Lake Michigan. Gary and Chicago are the bright lights you see on the south side of your screen, on the left side of your screen. And you can see that shelf cloud there almost kind of has that supercell look to it over Lake Michigan. So have to watch out for waterspouts tonight over the lake as these storms approach the shoreline off Lake Michigan. Currently, special marine warnings. Those are severe thunderstorm warnings for watercraft, and marine areas have waterspout possible tags on them as well. So we're going to have to watch this cam pretty closely to see if we see any waterspouts on Lake Michigan. Something that will help is lake waters are very cold still. So if we can get any areas of rotation to come down despite the cold lake waters, a waterspout or two can't be ruled out across Lake Michigan. So we're going to have to watch that cam very closely as these storms move on shore. This camera was looking at these storms here, right in here, was what that camera was looking at. Back down to our south here, we have two areas of concern in terms of rotation right now coming close to Indiana. This one here are going to come into southern Lake County, and we have kind of two of them here, which could be impacting central Lake County over the next couple of minutes or so. You can actually see those embedded hooks. Here comes the latest velocity scan. So something to watch up here. So if you notice here as I hit play, you notice these reds turning north. So what we're likely going to see here is that we're going to see some enhanced straight line winds on the south side of this. It's kind of pulling in on itself. It's occluding in on itself. but we could see a quick little spin up right in here as these race north, and it interacts some winds moving in different directions. So this is kind of a bookend vortex scenario where it could wrap in on itself before dissipating a little bit. At least that's the hope. But we're going to have to watch this up in here as these winds are now taking a northerly turn, and that could wrap in a circulation on the northern end of this line near the Indiana-Illinois state line. So that is something we're going to have to watch for. Currently, these storms are now moving into Indiana near the Kentland area. This is a severe thunderstorm warning has been extended to the south now for Benton, Porter, Lake, and Jasper counties. Jasper County now under a severe thunderstorm warning. Severe winds, considerable winds up to 70 miles per hour. These storms are moving east at 60 miles per hour. All of these storms are moving between 60 and 65 miles per hour, so moving very quickly as they move into Indiana. Currently, some areas of rotation that we're going to have to keep an eye on. I don't see any signs of a tornado on the ground at this time on our debris tracker here behind the scenes, but those broad areas of rotation, a little bit stronger where the tornado warning is, but we're going to have to watch these right in here. Like I said, we're starting to see these winds take a north turn, but as they take a north turn, it could wrap in on itself a little bit and briefly locally enhance some spin on the leading edge here as they move northeast. Here comes the latest velocity scan here. We'll see what that looks like. You can see that still turning north here a little bit, but we are seeing more of a pocket of straight line winds enhancing as it moves towards Crown Point. So very strong straight line winds here, likely up to 70 miles per hour just to the south of Chicago Heights, with some embedded circulation, kind of a couple little embedded circulations just to the south. Currently, I don't see anything on our debris tracker, which is good, but we will have to watch these little kinks in the line all up and down this entire line as it moves towards and continues to move into northwest Indiana. A little bit further to the south, a little bit less organized near the Paris area in Charleston, Illinois, from Danville and south, but some gusting winds, damaging winds, or perhaps a spin-up tornado can't be ruled out in this area here. But the greatest severe weather risk is up to the north across northwest Indiana. If I circle the line here, this area right in here, near term, has the greatest potential for a severe thunderstorm of damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour, perhaps 75, as well as a spin-up tornado. This zone here has the highest potential of severe weather tonight. That thinking has been unchanged. Currently, this forecast is going on par with our forecast issued earlier this morning. So currently going on track. It's just, when does this storm system, this northern end of the complex, begin to weaken? That is the current unknown at this point in time, and that'll be something that we'll have to continue to watch. Storms now moving in to Newton County as well as Lake County. They're now coming in to western Indiana, now crossing the Indiana-Illinois state line. Winds up to 70 miles per hour, as well as the tornado possible. Interior room away from windows until this storm has passed. Area of rotation now coming into Lake County, just north of Schneider. It's a broad area of rotation right in here, but we also have a pretty strong area of rotation right in here. It's really small. It's actually really tiny, but this area here is quite tight south of Park Forest. It's very small in nature. I don't see anything on debris tracker, but that's actually a very tight area of rotation with some broad rotation out ahead of it there. So we're going to have to watch for these little spin-ups here. Either way, very strong winds here. Likely a rear inflow jet coming in on the backside of this storm. So if you're in Crown Point, expect gusts up to 70 miles per hour within a very intense pocket here of winds with some embedded circulations within it. Interior room away from windows until these storms have passed. These storms are quite strong as they're moving into northwest Indiana. Damaging winds and a spin-up tornado are the primary hazards. Currently no tornado warning in Indiana at this point in time, but we do have tornado possible tags on all of these warnings right now from the Fowler area all the way up to Portage in Gary, Indiana. Straight line winds as well as a tornado possible. My coworker here behind the scenes is moving the camera around for us on the Well Street Beach and giving us a different look here. So what we're looking south is So these bright lights over here, this is Chicago, and Gary is right here. If anybody in these houses are watching, shout out to you guys. Thanks for watching. But these are the storms that we're going to be watching heading in our direction. So we're looking southwest in this scene here. So these storms are coming at us. This is the line here, and off to the right here, those are isolated storms over Lake Michigan right now. Thank you for our Well Street Beach Cam, Northwestern Indiana. We have multiple live cameras here, and we have a new tornado warning now for Northwest Indiana. This is for Lake County, Indiana. We have a tornado warning radar indicated, and that was likely for that small couplet that we just pointed out a few moments ago. Let me unclick that. Sometimes they just pop up, and that's annoying. As I click play here, you can see that really tight circulation just south of Chicago Heights start to occlude on itself right there. That's where it got really tight, and that was the tightest area of rotation. A little bit weaker now, at least represented on radar. But with that being said, a lot of these areas of spin on the leading edge of this line can give you a false sense of security because the velocity may not look like a tight area of rotation on radar, but that can be very misleading. A lot of times, these shallow end events, the tightest area of rotation is below the radar beam. The radar beam from the radar site itself is set at an angle. So the further away you are, the higher that radar beam is above the ground. And if you have rotation somewhere in here, but not up here, the radar beam isn't going to give you a good sample of that effectively. But you can see a nice dog leg feature here, and that is a kink in the line right in here, as well as a little bit right in here. These two areas are going to be areas to watch as we go into northern Lake County, and also an area of rotation near Lowell. This is actually re-intensified just a little bit, crossing US 41. Now coming into Lowell, also be on alert for a possible tornado there. And a little bit of a kink near the Enos area as well. So a lot of these little kinks, you're going to hear that word tonight quite often in Northwest Indiana, as this line is quite kinky in general as it moves or races rather across Northwest Indiana. So be on alert for a possible tornado. Again, tornado warning now in effect for northern Lake County. Crown Point, you're right on the edge, but I would watch this area of rotation near Lowell. If you're in the southern portions of Lake County, I would still be in an interior room or basement, as we have 70-mile-per-hour winds, hazard number 1. Hazard number 2, possibility of a spin-up tornado, particularly in this area near Lowell. That is a kink or some broad rotation along the leading edge, right near North Hayden. This is also moving northeast at 60 to 65. So if you're in Southeast Grove, Leroy, Cedar Lake, interior room away from windows until the storm has passed. Area of rotation likely over Lowell right now. These storms are moving faster than what the radar beam can keep up with, so keep that in mind here this evening. This tornado warning is in effect for northeastern Will County in Illinois, Cook County in Illinois, and central and northern Lake County in Northwest Indiana. At 10:31 p.m. Central Time, severe thunderstorms capable of producing both tornadoes and extensive straight-line wind damage were located along a line extending from Steger to St. John, Illinois, moving northeast at 55 miles per hour. Hazard tornado. And this warning is for 70-mile-per-hour winds. So even if you're not in a direct path for an area of rotation, plan on extensive straight-line wind damage, up to 70 miles per hour, 7-0. That's on the scale of a weak tornado, by the way. So do take this seriously. Interior room away from windows until this storm has passed.
Near Lowell. I'm just south of Lowell. There were power flashes.
And we're going to take Cody back. Cody is near Lowell, and he is reporting power flashes. So we're going to go ahead and pull him up here live on your screen. And we're going to watch him here. He's having some feed issues, but he's getting close to the storm. But he is currently near Lowell, and this area of rotation is quite tight. But he is reporting power flashes, and that could easily be from straight-line winds as well. But this area of rotation definitely concerns me as it is tightening up. Would not be surprised to get a new tornado warning for central Lake County, south of Cedar Lake, if this area of rotation continues. Notice how it did tighten up at the latest scan just a few moments ago. Right over Lowell is currently where this rotation is. But Cody is reporting power flashes west of his location here. He's currently moving northeast to get ahead of it here again. He's going to have a hard time staying ahead of the storm as it is moving northeast at 65 miles per hour. So I do expect this storm to move over him at some point. But we're going to go ahead and take radar back here. So he is in this area here circled, and you can see the couplet there. So if not a possible tornado, at least straight line winds on the south side moving into Lowell. You can see that bright pocket of red there, winds up to 70 miles per hour, as well as a possible tornado. So wouldn't be surprised to see a tornado warning on that, but that'll be up to the National Weather Service in Chicago. But we do have a tornado possible tag on this severe thunderstorm warning for the possibility of a spin-up tornado. So do take these warnings seriously. You can see that rotation move just a little bit northeast of Lowell. Strong winds now impacting the Lowell area, coming into Orchard Grove and Southeast Grove, coming into the Leroy area and Crown Point. Area of rotation just on the northeast side of Lowell, coming near Southeast Grove, Leroy, and I-65. No tornado warning on the southern couplet, but we do have one in northern Lake County. This rotation has broadened out a little bit, but we have a nice pocket of intense straight line winds on the south side of the warning box coming near Schererville, Maryville, and Crown Point. Remain alert for a possible tornado and extensive straight line wind damage with winds up to 70 miles per hour, 7-0. And we have a new severe thunderstorm warning extended east from LaPorte, Knox, just to the west of Logansport. Go ahead and read this off here for you. This is by the National Weather Service in northern Indiana, already putting a warning on this for at least 60 miles per hour. It may increase depending on how this trends, so we'll have to see. But they're giving you extensive lead time here of at least 30 to 40 minutes of lead time to make sure that you guys know this storm means business and it is on the way. This is for northern White County, northwestern Indiana, Pulaski County, Cass County, Stark, LaPorte, and Berrien County in southwest lower Michigan. Also under a severe thunderstorm warning. Expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Remain alert for possible tornado. Tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms. If you spot a tornado, go at once into an interior room and away from windows. So issuing well in advance here, about 2 counties in advance, as these storms are expected to maintain their intensity. Tornado warning continues for northern Lake County in northwest Indiana. Area of rotation just to the west of Schererville, right in here on US 30, as well as US 41, right where you see that couplet there, just to the west of Schererville, moving northeast at about 60 to 65 miles per hour. Coming near the Hobart area, Maryville, Gary, and Portage also have to watch out for this line of storms heading in your direction as well. Portage currently in Porter County, currently under a severe thunderstorm warning. These storms are currently moving east-northeast at 60 to 65 miles per hour. Considerable severe thunderstorm warning from Valparaiso to Rensselaer to Fowler. Winds up to 70 miles per hour, as well as a possible tornado. We also have another couplet that we're going to have to look out for a little bit further away from the radar, but right in here, just to the northwest of Rensselaer, we're going to have to keep an eye on for a possible tornado and straight line winds up to 70 miles per hour. This line is currently moving east at 60 to 65 miles per hour. Jane says, in Cedar Lake, in the basement, I love to hear it. Those are messages I love to see. Yes, everybody under these warnings need to be in interior room, lowest level of your home, away from windows. Put as many layers. Think of it as layers, right? You hear us say interior room away from windows, but what exactly does that mean? We mean layers. Put as many layers between you and what is going on the outside as possible. You want them as many walls or layers between you and the outside as possible, and to maximize your safety during severe weather. If you don't have a basement, that's okay. Just try to find a bathroom, a stairwell, somewhere where you can go that doesn't have an exterior wall or windows to the best of your ability, and ride the storm out there until it is over and we give you the all clear. Basement or storm cellar are always the best options. But a lot of us don't have basements or storm shelters built into our houses. So find that interior room, that safe place, and put as many layers between you and the outside as possible. The sirens are going off in Lowell, I love to hear it. Currently, right now, Lowell, the area of rotation is to your northeast. Winds should be starting to calm down. Probably give it another 10 minutes here, and we'll see things improve for your location. But the area of rotation northeast of town, coming near Leroy, coming up on I-65, has broadened out just a little bit, but you can still see that kink there. And also the kink under the tornado warning still in effect. These are rain raft areas of rotation, by the way. So you're likely not going to see these little spin up tornadoes coming. They're just going to develop that fast as they head into and along this line. So do not wait to see any tornadoes or anything like that, especially just with the fast eastward propagation of these storms. These storms are moving at 60 to 65 miles per hour. So the longer you're outside, the less time you have to react and go to your safe place when it comes closer to your location. So heed these warnings, take them seriously. These storms mean business in Northwest Indiana. We do expect a gradual weakening trend of these storms at some point between now and I-69, but where that exactly happens and when do we see the dramatic decrease in intensity yet to be remained. Right now, I do think the storms are at their maximum intensity now, and we do expect a gradual weakening trend. But for now, and especially the faster these storms move, the further that gusty wind threat or damaging wind threat will continue across northern Indiana. So do keep that in mind. Despite moving into a ever more stabilizing atmosphere, especially across northeast Indiana, if these storms continue moving at 60 to 65,
Caleb, I got a wall forming up
intensity
out in front of me.
Where are you at, Cody?
Let me double check real quick.
So here is Cody Fields, one of our chasers. He is currently in northwest Indiana.
I'm just northeast of Hebron.
And he is currently just northeast of Hebron in northwest Indiana, looking at these.
And it looks like it slowed down a little bit.
Copy that. So
Started
there's
breaking
a live
apart
look there at a shelf cloud or possible wall cloud there on Cody's location, as these storms are about ready to impact.
Yeah, these are moving very fast. I'm going to try to reposition.
Sounds good, Cody. Yeah, they're moving pretty quick. So that's one of the challenges that our chasers are going to have out here tonight is staying ahead of these storms. Storms moving at 60 to 65 miles per hour are very hard to stay on the leading edge and stay ahead of them, as ultimately they'll just run you over. So another reason to be in your safe place here tonight if you're in any of these severe thunderstorm warnings, as these storms are moving very, very quickly. If you're in the Morocco area in US 41 between Kentland and just west of Crown Point, you're in the clear. These storms are past you. If you're ahead of these yet or have not been impacted, your severe weather risk still remains. These storms are racing off to the east-northeast, currently at 60 to 65 miles per hour. Area of embedded circulations, still a thing here. We have one just to the northwest of Rensselaer and Jasper County. Also, Central Lake County, just to the southeast of Crown Point. Here comes the next scan on that one. Rotation just a little bit to the southeast of Crown Point, and maybe a little bit. It's broadened out quite a bit in northern Lake County, which is good, but there's still a little bit of rotation just to the northwest of Murrayville, right in here, coming up on the I-90 and I-65 corridor, coming up on the toll road, as well as I-65, just to the west of Hobart. Right in there, you can see these little kinks. Those are what we're going to have to watch here as this line continues to move east-northeast at about 60 to 65 miles per hour. One of these kinks is what Cody was looking at just a little bit ago of a possible wall cloud. Definitely a shelf cloud, but a possible wall cloud embedded in it. Tornado warning continues, but they are trimming it back. Radar indicated tornado warning. Looking on the debris tracker here behind the scenes, I currently don't see any indication that a tornado is on the ground, but the rotation is visible on radar. These storms are currently moving east-northeast at about 60 to 65 miles per hour. So they are moving quite quickly across northwest Indiana. The greatest threat for severe weather tonight is going to be in this zone here. Northwest Indiana, from Elkhart County over to Lafayette and just north of Terre Haute. This zone here in the white box we feel has the greatest potential for severe weather here this evening. Sometime, I'll go ahead and let me redraw a line here for you guys. So here's I-69 right in here. So sometime, I don't know why that is following me. I don't like it. So sometime between this line and where it's at now, somewhere in here, we do expect a weakening trend to start, but where at and to what extent is kind of the question mark right now. But we do expect a weakening trend before it approaches I-69, as this area over here is an ever stabilizing air mass. We have a stable layer at the surface with instability elevated. That instability is getting pushed aloft. We call that an EML. It's an elevated mixed layer, meaning there's storm fuel, but it's not at the surface, it's elevated. So these storms are eventually going to take that as an off-ramp and kind of ride the instability ramp and become elevated, and that'll lower the severe risk with embedded showers and thunderstorms from Fort Wayne to Indianapolis. That's the current thinking. But how far east will the severe threat go? That's kind of the question mark. We expect it to weaken, but at what point and how fast will it weaken is the question mark right now. Tornado watch currently in effect until 3 a.m. Eastern time for areas west of Fort Wayne. I'll go ahead and toggle that on here for you. Everywhere in yellow is under a tornado watch, including Howard County, Elkhart County, all the way down to Terre Haute, Indiana, in a tornado watch. This is where the greatest risk for severe weather is. Again, west of I-69 is our current thinking right now. But when exactly will it start to weaken is the great unknown at this point in time. We do expect it, but when will that occur and to what extent? The faster this line moves, the further east that damaging wind risk will remain. Right now, the most intense portion of this line is extreme northwest Indiana, from Fowler.
I'm going through very strong winds right now.
So we're going to go ahead and take Cody up. He's getting hit by the leading edge of this storm. You can see his windshield wipers on high there, and you can see the rain curtains blowing in front of him here. Have another vehicle with hazards on in front of him there. So getting impacted with very strong winds. He's in northwest Indiana, and radar has winds between 60 and 70 miles per hour near his location. So he's going to get rocked here as these straight line winds batter his location there. Look at the visibility dropping as well as these straight line winds move over Cody's location. So we'll watch Cody here for a few minutes. Very strong winds there at his location. Good lightning there. So this is kind of a view of what to expect along the leading edge of these storms. Reduced visibility and very strong straight line winds up to 70 miles per hour. So Cody's getting rocked by these storms. Whoops, meant to circle it here. By these storms up in here. And you can see the bright colors here along the leading edge. There are pockets of winds up to 70 miles per hour within this line as it moves into Porter County, and eventually LaPorte County as well. Something we are noting on radar is a weakening trend for the southern extent of this line. So we are seeing that weakening trend right in here for this portion of the southern portion of the line. That was expected, with the greatest risk being northwest Indiana. So we are starting to see the weakening trend on the southern portion of this line, but the northern extent across northwest Indiana is still maintaining its intensity. But the southern portion of the line from Charleston to Danville is starting to weaken a little bit. There still could be a locally damaging wind risk associated with that, but we are starting to see that weakening trend occur with the southern portion of this line. So that is good news if you live in the Terre Haute area. Crawfordsville, Rockville, do watch these storms, but we are starting to see that weakening trend associated with them. Notice how they look a little bit on the weaker side, but also note here on velocity, you'll see a little bit of a line coming out here. This is an outflow boundary. This is good news. This line is becoming outflow dominant, where rain-cooled air is moving faster than what the storms are. What that's going to do, that is going to stabilize the atmosphere even further out ahead of this line, essentially choking off any updraft from becoming surface-based and becoming stronger and re-intensifying as it moves east. So this is going to act like a cold front that's going to outrun these storms. That's a good thing across the southern end of this line from Danville to Charleston and Parrish. But still, a few strong winds on the leading edge up to 60 miles per hour are possible, can't be ruled out. But that southern end of the line is weakening per the latest trends. Not the case with this northern line here, and that's where we're going to focus here. Tornado warning still in effect for Lake County as these storms move off at about 60 to 65 miles per hour. Looking line here, we have some kinks to talk about. Right here, Jasper County, just north of Rensselaer, there's a kink. So there's still a couple kinks here along the line where we could have some embedded areas of rotation. First one here we'll talk about just to the northeast of Fair Oak, southwest of Wheatfield. Have a little bit of an embedded circulation right in here. This is going to be coming up on US 231 and State Road 49, just to the southwest of Wheatfield. Have an embedded circulation there. Up here to the north, if you're in the Valparaiso area of rotation just outside of town, you can actually see this embedded comma head here, right here, just on the outside of town. There's that hook echo right in here. So if you're in Valparaiso, interior room away from windows until this storm has passed. Area of rotation going to come pretty close to Valparaiso. And it looks fairly decent on radar as well as far as a mesovortice goes. These are these little spin up areas of rotation along the leading edge. Turning on debris tracker here behind the scenes, I don't see anything that would suggest a tornado is on the ground, but these things can spin up very quickly and oftentimes before radar has a chance to see that debris as well. So interior room away from windows until this storm has passed. Area of rotation right in here, just to the west of town, right where you see those a little bit of a couplet right there, as well as just to the west of Portage, some broad rotation right in there. But more importantly than that, strong straight line winds on the backside of this Boeing segment here. Winds up to 70 miles per hour, definitely possible along the leading edge. And this area of rotation near Wheatfield is intensifying right in here, crossing 231, heading towards Wheatfield and North Judson. You can see that hook echo here with an embedded dogleg where you have strong winds being pulled in around this storm to the south with inflow coming into the north. So we have faster winds to the south, slower winds to the north, and where those winds meet, it's occluding on itself as it approaches North Judson. So if you're in the North Judson area, interior room away from windows, would not be surprised to see a tornado warning on that if that continues to intensify. It's starting to look better on radar. So remain alert for a possible tornado, as well as damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. Still have a considerable severe thunderstorm warning in effect here. Here comes the next radar scan here. Nice hook echo coming into the Valpo area, crossing US 30 just south of Portage. Right in here, area of rotation just to the west of Valparaiso, likely going to skirt just to the northwest of town. So a couple areas of concern right now in terms of rotation. There comes the latest scan. A couple areas of some little bit weaker here, just to the southwest of Wheatfield, which is good, and right in here. Outside of a possible spin-up tornado, damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour are possible here along the leading edge of these storms. Tornado possible, winds up to 70 miles per hour are what the current warnings are for northwest Indiana. Rensselaer, Indiana should be starting to see things improve over the next couple of minutes. The worst of it is just east of town, but give it a couple of minutes here to let things calm down before you come out of your safe place there. And we have storms now impacting Wells Street Beach here. You're going to see, watch this tree here. Lots of lightning there. As these storms impact the tree here, let me move this camera just a little bit. Whoa. There we go. As we watch the rain start to move over this camera location here, we're going to see the winds pick up here. This is in northwest Indiana and Gary, Indiana. These storms are now moving through Indiana. Gary, this is just east of Gary, close to that area of rotation north of Hobart, just to the west of Portage. So be curious to know if we see anything on this camera. as the area of rotation is going to skirt right along the Lake Michigan shoreline here, pretty close to this camera's location. See a nice shelf cloud perhaps over Lake Michigan, a really ominous sky there at this beach camera. We'll keep an eye on this camera here over the next couple of minutes. If we see anything, we'll bring it right back up here. But thanks to the Wells Street Beach for supplying our weather camera across northern Indiana. A couple areas of broad rotation to look out for just to the west of Valpo, right in here. Small embedded rain wrap circulation there, quite broad in nature, but still something to keep an eye on as these storms move off to the east at 60 to 65 miles per hour. Severe thunderstorm warnings still in effect. The good news is, though, our tornado warning has dropped, but we still have a considerable severe thunderstorm warning in effect. A little bit, National Weather Service in northern Indiana has a 60 mile per hour severe thunderstorm warning in effect from LaPorte all the way down to just northwest of Monticello. Winds up to 60 miles per hour, penny-sized hail, and a tornado possible. So perhaps just a little bit lesser winds, but there's still embedded pockets of some significant wind gusts possible within the leading edge of this line, especially where you get these little kinks. Sometimes even outside of a rotation or a possible spin-up tornado, those kinks can also enhance the winds at the surface too, in straight line winds. We call that RFD, rear flank downdraft. Sometimes you can have some broad rotation aloft, but that can pull down some stronger winds down to the ground on the south side of that circulation. So those are some other things that we're going to have to keep an eye on as well. Tornado watch in effect until 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time for areas ahead of this line. If you're in Lake County, Newton County, think like Kentland, all the way up to Crown Point, Maryville, you guys are in the clear. Your severe weather threat is over. If you're in this area here, if you're downstream, you are not okay. Frowny face. We got to wait until these storms have moved through. And we have a wall of rain coming towards our Gary, Indiana camera here. All of this white that you see, that is just a wall of rain and strong winds coming here. You're probably going to see this tree basically do a magic trick and disappear with the amount of rain coming and become very hard to see. A lot of lightning there. We're going to see the winds pick up here too. This tree is a good gauge to kind of estimate how strong the winds are here. This is right on the Lake Michigan shoreline, just to the east of Gary. Between Gary and Dune Acres is kind of where this camera is, right as these storms are approaching. A lot of lightning. These storms are definitely electric across northwest Indiana. That is for sure. You can see the wall of rain getting ever closer, getting even more white on the left side of your screen. We're going to see the gust front come through here any moment. You can see the raindrops starting to hit the camera here. Here comes the rain right now as it's moving into this location. Very torrential rainfall occurring here within this storm as it approaches our camera. This camera is currently under a severe thunderstorm warning. Winds up to 70 miles per hour, as well as a tornado possible within this section of the line. So very, very heavy rain there associated with that. Going back to our radar here, downstream warnings for LaPorte, just to the north of Monticello. If we look on radar, some good news, we are starting to see that weakening trend that we were talking about here. The southern end of this line is weakening very, very quickly. So right in here, severe weather threat is lessening the further south you go. Greatest severe weather risk, I'll draw it out here on the map here. Actually, let me go back and just take one screen. We'll take radar full here. So the greatest severe weather risk currently is right up in here, but we are starting to see the weakening trend within this line. That is occurring right now. So this line is weakening as it's moving into Indiana as expected, which is good, but it's still severe. We still have severe thunderstorm warnings for winds up to 60 to 70 miles per hour, but we are starting to see that weakening trend take place as it is moving into an ever more stabilizing atmosphere across Indiana with that elevated instability and surface stabilization. That's going to limit the potential with these storms. Still greatest potential for damaging winds, spin up tornado anywhere in northwest Indiana. Tornado watch currently in effect for this area until 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time for the possibility of this line maintaining its intensity for locally strong damaging winds, 60 to 70 miles per hour, and that possibility of a spin-up tornado. No tornado warnings in effect right now, but we have a considerable severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible, 70-mile-per-hour winds, as well as a downstream severe thunderstorm warning taking over for winds up to 60 miles per hour, and a tornado possible tag associated with it. Strongest portion of the line right now is going to be this northern portion, this Boeing segment right up in here. This is the strongest portion of the line right now. Really bright reflectivity here, but this section down in here could have some strong winds associated with it up to 60 miles per hour. We're farther away from the radar, so we may not fully get the best cross section of that gust front of these storms moving out of Jasper County. Coming up here to the north, though, we still have some little kinks in this line that we're going to have to keep an eye on here. You can see these little kinks right in here, here, and here. So we do have some embedded circulations along the leading edge, which is why we have a tornado possible tag still remaining on this severe thunderstorm warning. It is not tight enough for a tornado warning, but they are worth watching as a spin-up tornado can't be ruled out anywhere along this line as it moves into northwest or continues to move into northwest Indiana. These storms are currently moving east-northeast at 60 to 65 miles per hour. The greatest risk for severe weather is currently in this area here. Think Lafayette and areas north and northeast towards Goshen and Lafayette have the best chances for seeing a strong to severe thunderstorm, with a lesser threat the further east and southeast you go from northwest Indiana. Areas on the south side of this storm have weakened significantly. So if you're in the Terre Haute area, this is good news for you. Severe weather risk is looking quite low for your location. You are included in that tornado watch. But for right now, these storms are weakening quite quickly for the southern half of this line, which is good news. The best upper level support for these storms are right up in here. This complex has what is known as an MCV, mesoscale convective vortex. Basically, in a big squall line or big storm complex, sometimes it can develop its own localized area of spin or low pressure, and that can actually aid in keeping these storms going a little bit longer. But the further away you are from that area of low pressure, that spin, that's your energy source, the harder time those storms are going to have in sustaining themselves, especially when they're already moving into an unfavorable environment. It's stabilizing, right? We had a lot of instability during the day here today, but that was, again, during the day. It's now nighttime and we have surface cooling ongoing, and that's going to be problematic for these storms as they move into that, which is good news. But for right now, northwest Indiana still under the gun for widespread severe weather. A couple areas have my eye across northwest Indiana. Possible water spouts going on just to the north of our Wells Street Beach camera location. We have special marine warnings for water spout possible, as well as strong winds. Wind gusts to nearly 50 knots. Associated with those, so if you have anybody that are mariners, now's a good time to get those boats moored and into harbor. Hopefully they're already in harbor. Broad area of rotation, a little bit of a area of rotation just south of Indiana Dunes National Park, just to the west of LaPorte. A little bit of a kink right in there, and also just to the south of Valparaiso too. A little bit of a kink there and right there. These are a couple areas of a little bit of spin on the leading edge that we're going to have to keep an eye on as they move into LaPorte County North Judson, a little bit of a kink there right here, but damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour coming into LaPorte and Steuben counties. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 12:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, as well as 11:30 p.m. Central Time for White, Pulaski, and Cass counties. Severe thunderstorms are located along a line extending 10 miles north of Ogden Dunes near Rensselaer to near Remington, moving east to 55 miles per hour. 60-mile-per-hour winds, penny-sized hail, as well as a tornado possible. Remain alert for a possible tornado, as tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms. The strongest portion of the line, though, is in this segment here. So if you're outside of northwest Indiana, like think really any area south of this line, watch these storms, but your severe weather risk is lessening the further south you go. This portion of the line south of Lafayette is losing its intensity quite quickly, which is good news. We'll put a smiley face on that. But if you're in northwest Indiana, Lafayette, Logansport, South Bend, remain alert for a possible tornado, as well as winds 60 to perhaps 70 miles per hour in embedded pockets. Strongest cell right now does appear to be in the Valpo area, Couts coming into the LaPorte County, as well as Steuben County. Strong winds associated with this Boeing segment right in here, as well as embedded circulations moving towards LaPorte, Indiana, along the Indiana toll road along I-80, I-90 is where we do have some embedded circulation noted within this line. No evidence of any debris or anything like that we see on radar currently. Hopefully that is the case and remains the case, but do remain alert for a possible spin-up tornado, as well as winds up to 60 miles per hour. We do still have a considerable severe thunderstorm warning in place behind this warning, but we do expect that to expire with these new set of warnings taking over here in a few minutes. If you are behind this line, you are in the clear. So if you're in Valparaiso and points west, you guys are good. Just rain, some embedded thunder here for the remainder of the night, but your severe weather risk is over. Looking back here to the south, on our southern end of the line, have a strong thunderstorm near Springfield, Illinois. But other than that, the southern portion of the line is weakening significantly. And even this is starting to have an elevated look to it on velocity, which is some good news. So the severe weather risk is lessening if you are on the southern half of this line, with the severe weather risk remaining up here. So some rain, gusty winds, we'll put a smiley face there. And the severe risk continues northwest Indiana, frowny face, right? So remain alert for possible severe weather, as well as damaging winds up to 60 to perhaps 70 miles per hour, and a possible tornado. Area of rotation, this is rain wrapped right in here. You can see a little bit of a hook right in there. Area of rotation sitting right there just to the west of Westville, moving along the I-90 corridor. Right in there just to the southeast of Chesterton. Area of rotation right in there. See a little bit of a notch there as it moves towards LaPorte, Indiana. No tornado warning on it currently. The rotation does seem to be a little bit broad, but it is there nonetheless. But we do have a tornado possible tag remaining on radar, so do remain alert for a possible tornado. Tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms and also QLCS events. A lot of times and sometimes these area of rotations may be actually stronger underneath the radar. The radar beam is set at an angle from the radar site, so if your rotation somewhere in here, the radar beam is over top of that versus our, deep rotating thunderstorms like our supercells, where the rotation goes all the way through the beam and we're getting a really good cross section. Sometimes these are really shallow events where we're just catching the northern top of that rotation and it's actually a little bit stronger at the surface. So those are things to keep in mind along the leading edge of this event, and why these storms can be quite dangerous as well. But we are starting to see a weakening trend across the board. These storms were at their peak intensity in northern Illinois, and they are weakening right now as I speak across northern Indiana. They are severe across northwest Indiana, so weak is kind of a loose term. Don't let that be a false sense of security. do be in your safe place if you're in LaPorte, all the way down to Steuben County in the Monticello area, as these storms are producing winds up to 60 miles per hour, as well as a tornado possible. So while we are seeing a decline phase, these storms are still severe and have a history of producing severe weather across northwest Indiana. These severe thunderstorm warnings continue until 12:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. 60-mile-per-hour winds, penny-size hail, as well as a tornado possible. We do have embedded circulations along the line, one of which just to the west of LaPorte, Indiana. A little bit of a circulation there. It's broad in nature, but that would kind of be where it is. And maybe a little bit one just to the south of LaPorte as well along US 30. But a nice pocket of damaging wind gusts regardless of any embedded rotation. So do plan on at least 60-mile-per-hour winds, perhaps a little bit more. Area of rotation right in here, kind of developing here just to the west of Kingsford Heights. Right in here, you can see that little bit of a hook starting to form on radar just to the east of 421, north of US 30, just north of US 30, east of the Valparaiso area. Starting to see that area of rotation near the Wanata area, just east of town there. So these little notches we're going to have to keep an eye on. Also, perhaps a little bit of rotation just offshore Michigan City as well. Remain alert for a possible water spout as it comes into northwestern LaPorte County as well as Berrien County, Michigan. But this is our main line. After this line pushes through, the severe weather risk is over, and we're back to a baseline severe thunderstorm warning. Our considerable severe thunderstorm warning has dropped, and we are at a baseline severe thunderstorm warning, winds up to 60 miles per hour, as well as a possible tornado. This area of rotation getting a little bit tighter, just to the west of Kingsford Heights, maintaining itself there right in here, just north of US 30. This is what we call a spin-up area of rotation, a mesovortice. On our debris tracker here behind the scenes, I don't see any evidence of a tornado on the ground. Hopefully that remains the case, but do be in an interior room away from windows until the storm has passed. These little embedded circulations are very shallow. They spin up very quickly. They can produce tornadoes pretty quickly in severe thunderstorm warnings. We do have that tornado possible tag remaining in place. So if you're in central LaPorte County near Kingsford Heights, I would watch this very closely. There's the latest scan. Actually, that's getting rather concerning. A little bit tighter there. So if you're in Kingsford Heights, would not be surprised to see a tornado warning on that. We're getting close. If you're in the Kingsbury area, LaPorte area, and Kingsford Heights, area of rotation tightening up just to the east southeast of Kingsbury, Kingsford Heights, north of US 30. If not, possible tornado straight line winds, 60 plus miles per hour, right in there on the south side and just east of Wanata. Area of circulation picking up there just a little bit. It's definitely enough to keep an eye on if you're in LaPorte County, just to the west of Kingsford Heights. Getting close to VROT there for a tornado warning. Not quite there yet, but we're close. So I would keep an eye on that, especially with how shallow these areas of rotation can be. I would be in your interior room if you're in LaPorte County, south of LaPorte, near Kingsford Heights, interior room away from windows until this storm has passed. Tightest area of rotation right in there. You see that hook echo right in there. Here comes the latest scan. And also a little bit of rotation perhaps right in there as well. Looking on our debris tracker here behind the scenes, no evidence of any debris at this point in time, which is good, but the area of rotation remains right in there. You see that little bit of a kink right there. Just to the southwest of LaPorte near Kingsford Heights. Nice circulation associated with that. Winds up to 60 miles per hour, tornado possible associated with this line, as well as embedded circulations like the one we have right near Kingsford Heights. A little bit of embedded circulation just to the east of US 421. This is moving east at about 60 to 65 miles per hour near Kingsbury and South Center, north of US 30. Outside of those little areas of spin, we have straight line winds up to 60 miles per hour possible. If you are behind this line, you are in the clear. Anywhere behind this line, you are in the clear. Once this line pushes through, you are good. I won't name specific towns as there are a lot of towns behind this line, but you guys know where you live. If you're behind this line, you guys are good. And there's our tornado warning now, just as we talked about of a possible tornado warning incoming. There it is. Tornado warning now for LaPorte County does not include downtown LaPorte. You're kind of split. If you're on the south side of town, you are in a tornado warning. And that is for this couplet right here, that mesovortice that we were just talking about, how it could possibly get a tornado warning. There's the tornado warning. There it is. We were talking about how we could get one any moment. And those are areas that we're going to have to be keeping an eye on. Radar indicated tornado warning now for LaPorte County. This is radar indicated. Looking on a debris tracker, though, I still don't see any signs of debris being lofted, which is good. But these quick spin-up tornadoes may not be on the ground long enough to produce a debris ball seen on radar. We can have a tornado on the ground, but we may not be able to see it because they spin up that quickly. So, interior room, away from windows, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located near Kingsford Heights, 7 miles southeast of Westville, moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. This dangerous storm will be near Kingsford Heights around 11:20 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Other locations impacted by this tornadic thunderstorm include Byron, South Center, Salem Heights, Fish Lake, Tracy, Kingsbury, Stillwell, and Union Mills. This is radar indicated rotation, penny-sized hail, as well as 60-mile-per-hour winds also occurring within the storm. New area of rotation near State Road 8, right in here, just to the south of Hannah. See the new hook developing on radar? Have another mesovortice right in here, just to the west of Indian Hill. Not quite as strong as the one currently tornado warned, but we are going to have to watch this kink right in here, just like what we have on this one here. Now, keep in mind, this is a rain-wrapped area of rotation for LaPorte County. You will not see this tornado coming if it is on the ground. As you can see, the hook echo is embedded in rain, right where the US 6 icon is, right in here near Union Mills. This is all rain right in here. You're not going to see this area of rotation likely sitting in that rain-free gap right there would be where the center of rotation is. And looking at our debris tracker here behind the scenes, I currently still do not see any debris on radar at this time, which is good, but the rotation is certainly there. But we also have a new couplet developing just to the south, just to the west of Knox, coming into the Steuben County line right in here, coming towards the Brems area in Indian Hill near Knox. Right here. So severe thunderstorm warning continues for Pulaski and northwestern Cass County. I don't know why I keep saying Steuben County. It's not Steuben County. Stark County does start with an S, though, but I don't know why I keep calling it Steuben County. So pardon me. Been live here for a little while yet, but Stark County is where this is moving into. But two areas of rotation here currently in the tornado warning, just to the west of Kingsbury, but also an area of rotation just to the west of Knox, moving into Stark County, out of LaPorte County. There it's intensified just a little bit, right in there. It's maintaining itself right in there, just a little bit along Indian Hill. So a couple areas of rotation there along the leading edge. Tornado warning still in effect for LaPorte County near Kingsford Heights. Area of rotation coming pretty close to Kingsbury. This is radar indicated rotation, includes Kingsford Heights, Stillwell, and Fish Lake. Radar indicated rotation, as well as 60-mile-per-hour winds, a really potent gust front here from Stark County up to northern LaPorte County, coming into Michigan City and New Buffalo Township and Berrien County, Michigan. Looking on our debris tracker here behind the scenes, I currently don't see any debris. Hopefully that remains the case. But take this seriously as if there is a tornado on the ground, just not lofting debris high enough for the radar to see. Always treat a tornado warning as if there is a tornado on the ground, as rotation is strong enough that a tornado could form at any moment. And there's kind of a couple, about 3 areas here that we need to keep an eye on here. There's the original kink warned for a tornado warning near Kingsbury, another little kink developing near Kingsford Heights, and then our southern kink developing near Indian Hill, coming into Stark County in northwestern Indiana. So we kind of have 3 little mesovortices here associated with this line as it moves east at about 60 to 65 miles per hour. Currently, tornado warning for LaPorte County, for LaPorte and south. Kind of 2 areas of embedded circulation near Kingsbury and Kingsford Heights. 2 circulations here within this tornado warning as it moves off to the east at about 65 miles per hour. If you're in the Lafayette areas or area south, currently not severe. In fact, these storms are actually producing an outflow boundary. If you see this little line protruding out ahead of it, you're going to feel the wind before you feel the rain. With these storms, that's a good sign. These storms are below severe criteria and are weakening as well. Special weather statement, though, is that gust front, that outflow boundary, winds up to 50 miles per hour for the Lafayette area. Does not appear to be tornadic at this point in time, which is some good news. But are under that tornado watch, so we're going to have to keep an eye on those storms as well. We're in a very sheared environment here tonight across northwest Indiana. Tornado warning continues, though, with 2 areas of circulation. Also have one just south of the warning box and a couple of them within the warning box as well. Kingsford Heights right in here, and Kingsbury have a hook right in here, have a hook right in here, hook right in here. There's just lots of these little kinks along the leading edge. And this area of rotation right in here strengthened just a little bit in the latest scan near Kingsford Heights, coming near Union Center, still within the tornado warning, and also an area of rotation near Kingsbury, crossing US 35, coming near Salem Heights and Fish Lake. Looking at our debris tracker, currently still no signs of debris on radar, which is good, but the rotation is strong enough to where a tornado could form at any moment within this tornado warning. So interior room, away from windows until this storm has passed. Lots of these little kinks, these little mesovortices along the leading edge of this line here. It's a very kinky line as it moves across northwestern Indiana. Perhaps another little bit of a rotation here near the Springfield area as well. Maybe a little bit of some back end rotation there, a little bit of a bookend vortex. Have to keep an eye on that. Here comes the latest velocity scan here. 2 areas of rotation continue along the leading edge near South Center and Kingsbury. Moving east-northeast at 60 to 65 miles per hour. And perhaps a little bit of rotation, perhaps right in here on the backside of this comma head. This is radar indicated rotation here. This tornado warning is in effect for LaPorte County. in this area of rotation, looking quite strong on radar here. Gonna have to keep an eye on that. Currently, I don't see anything on our debris tracker, but we are going to have to keep an eye on that here with any of these areas of spin and rotation here in LaPorte County. This is a radar indicated tornado warning. 2 areas of rotation within this cell here, moving northeast at 45 miles an hour. So slow down just a little bit. And there's a new downstream severe thunderstorm warning, including South Bend, Marshall County, Plymouth area, under a severe thunderstorm warning. Tornado possible, winds up to 60 miles per hour. So they're including that downstream warning. Greatest threat for severe weather is going to be in this zone here. If you live in the Lafayette area or south, gusty showers and thunderstorms possible. Isolated severe storm can't be ruled out. Greatest risk of severe weather is to your north across northwest Indiana. Here comes the latest velocity scan here, showing some pockets of some strong straight line winds within this section of the line here, from Stark County towards the Winnemac area, from Knox to Winnemac, showing pockets of strong straight line winds. Area of rotation, 2 areas of rotation still hanging on along the leading edge near Stillwell and Fish Lake. Tornado warning remains in effect. No sign of a tornado on the ground at this point in time, which is some good news. Areas of northwest Indiana, from Fowler, Couts, Valparaiso, Gary, your severe weather risk is over. Your tornado watch has been allowed to be canceled and expired. So that is some good news there. Northwest Indiana, your severe weather risk is over. If you're from Gary, Valparaiso, Rensselaer, if you're on Central Time in Northwest Indiana, your severe weather risk is over. We'll put it that way. Everywhere in Central Time, Northwest Indiana, your severe weather risk is over. Severe weather risk continuing, though, for areas ahead of this line. Michigan City, your severe weather risk is over. The worst of the line is now east of town. You guys are in the clear if you're in Michigan City. This line is weakening, though. We do have a weakening trend across this line. I'll go ahead and take it full here. The greatest risk for severe weather is going to be, well, I drew the line a little bit too far west there. Let me just start here behind this line, kind of right in here. This zone here, northwest Indiana, northern Indiana, southwest lower Michigan. This is the greatest risk for severe weather. If you're south of this line, some gusty showers and thunderstorms possible, but the severe weather risk is lower. Turn back on our velocity here to look at winds. 2 areas of rotation still showing up within our tornado warning. Right in there. Just to the east of Kingsford Heights near South Center, as well as Stillwell. Tornado warning trimmed back, but still continuing across eastern LaPorte County and northwest Indiana. Area of rotation actually increasing just a little bit on that latest scan. Looking on our debris tracker, I don't see any debris. And no debris yet on our debris tracker, but the area of rotation is continuing there along the leading edge. You can see the brighter colors if I zoom in here, Sterling Heights, or Salem Heights rather, and right there near the Kingsbury Fish and Wildlife area, right in there. These are some embedded circulations within the leading edge of this storm capable of producing spin-up tornadoes. I don't see any debris on our debris tracker currently, but we could have these 2 areas circled here have the best chances of a spin-up tornado here within the tornado warning. Just to the southeast of LaPorte, Fish Lake, and the Union Center area. near the Kingsbury Fish and Wildlife area. In fact, right over the Kingsbury Fish and Wildlife area. So if you're in the North Liberty area, keep an eye on these two circulations as they head in your direction. Currently, nothing on our debris tracker yet, but the tornado warning remains in effect for another 14 minutes here. In fact, this line will likely be out of the warning box before it expires. So be curious and see if we're going to see a downstream tornado warning on this or not. The southern area of rotation still continuing. You can see a new hook on radar developing there in eastern LaPorte County as it heads towards the North Liberty area. And there you go. Areas of rotation continuing there on that latest scan, with the southern area of rotation being a little bit stronger now as it moves towards North Liberty. You can see a nice hook on radar there. Currently nothing on our debris tracker yet, but sometimes it's hard to tell if there's anything on the ground on the leading edge of a thunderstorm, as you can have some clutter and some interference along the leading edge as well. But a nice hook on radar in eastern LaPorte County, as well as a couple nice couplets there, with the southern couplet being a little bit stronger right in here just south of Fish Lake, moving towards North Liberty. So if you're in North Liberty, interior room away from windows, as this storm is exhibiting signs of rotation as it heads in your direction. A little bit of broad rotation in Stark County, just to the southeast of Knox, right in here with some strong straight line winds on the backside of that storm there. Winds up to 60 miles per hour, as well as a tornado possible from Rochester, Indiana, all the way up to St. Joseph County and South Bend, Indiana. If you're in Michigan City, you guys are in the clear. Michigan City, go to bed. Have a good night. You guys are good. If you guys are behind this line that I'm drawing right now, you guys know where you live. I won't name individual towns. I just hope you know where you are on a map. You guys are good. Go to bed. Have a good evening and have a wonderful weekend. And stay warm this weekend as well. Temperatures are going to crash tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be one of those days where we start today is not how we're going to end the day. And it'll leave us all disappointed. I'll just put it that way. Tornado warning continuing here. Area of rotation right in here, just south of Fish Lake. Nice hook on radar associated with this. Wouldn't be surprised to see a downstream tornado warning on this as it moves towards Kankakee, Indiana, and North Liberty, Indiana. Two circulations continuing here, with the second one right up in here, but the southern one, I believe, is going to take over to be the parent circulation. You can see that nice hook on radar just to the south of Fish Lake, moving towards North Liberty. Wouldn't be surprised to see an additional warning on that. We'll see what the National Weather Service deems necessary. We already have a tornado possible tag on this warning. Area of rotation continuing here, maintaining its intensity as well. So would not be surprised to see an additional warning get put on that. Area of rotation directly over Kankakee, Indiana, moving directly towards North Liberty, Indiana. If you're in North Liberty, Indiana, enter your room away from windows until this storm has passed. This entire segment is warned currently from Rochester, Indiana, just to the east of Michigan City, for 60-mile-per-hour winds, as well as a tornado possible for these little embedded kinks along the leading edge of the line. Spin-up tornadoes can't be ruled out, but the primary risk is going to be damaging winds. Damaging winds, 60 miles per hour, perhaps a little bit stronger, and those isolated pockets getting mixed down to the ground. Getting close to the edge of the warning box here. We'll see if they let that expire or cancel. Area of rotation still there near the Kankakee area. It is still maintaining itself. Have to see if we get a downstream tornado warning on that, or if they're going to let the tornado possible severe thunderstorm warning take over. Either way, the embedded circulation is still there on radar. I don't see anything on our debris tracker at this point in time. Straight line winds up to 60 miles per hour. Wouldn't be surprised to see, if there's not a tornado on the ground or imminent, strong pocket of straight line winds, perhaps over 60 miles per hour coming into North Liberty as well. So plan on at least straight line winds of 60 to 65 miles per hour, as well as a possible tornado. So interior rim away from windows until this storm has passed. Here comes our next velocity scan. See what that looks like here. A little bit weaker on a couplet, but we are seeing a nice pocket of straight line winds coming out of this storm towards North Liberty. Tornado possible, but it is looking to be more of a gust front at this point in time. But there is still a little bit of embedded circulation there. Same thing in south central Marshall County, just to the west of Plymouth. Strong straight line winds and this embedded gust front. Have to look for a little bit of a circulation there on the north side. See that little bit of a hook echo there just to the west of Plymouth. Tornado possible remains on the warning for these little kinks that we see here. So it looks like they are going to let the tornado warning expire or be canceled early, with the tornado possible tag taking over for the warning here. But that embedded circulation does continue as it comes towards North Liberty, but it is a little bit more broad, a little bit more linear than what we saw a little bit ago as a couplet. So that is some good news. Kind of more of a straight line wind risk, perhaps a little bit of a shear line versus a tight couplet where they're holding hands. Areas to the south near Rochester. Rochester proper, not in a severe thunderstorm warning, but we are starting to see an outflow boundary. Let me click on Indianapolis's radar and go up here to the north here. So the southern portion of the line is the weaker portion of the line. You can see this little bit of a line, this green line out ahead of it here. This is a gust front for these line of showers where you're going to see the winds pick up before you hear the rain and see the rain. And this portion of the line with this outflow boundary ahead of it, it's running into its own rain-cooled air, and this is going to further stabilize the atmosphere out ahead of these lines. So this is lowering the severe weather risk for the Lafayette area, coming into Howard County as well. But this outflow boundary, though, right in here, can still produce winds, up to 30 to perhaps 60 miles per hour. The special weather statement is for winds up to 50 miles per hour. So plenty gusty to, cause some minor damage and blow things around. So do keep that in mind if you're ahead of this southern portion of the line. While it's below severe criteria, it is strong enough to blow some things around, patio furniture, some loose sticks perhaps, and any trash cans that are vulnerable out in the open as well. So we are starting to see this hold hands again right in here, just to the west of North Liberty. You can see how that's kind of occluded back in on itself again. New hook echo forming. If you're in North Liberty, area of rotation just to your west, and it has intensified on radar. In fact, would not be surprised to see a new tornado warning get on that. It's getting close to VROT once again, right in here. Let a little couplet up here to the north, just to the southwest of South Bend. North Liberty, though, tight rotation or getting tighter just to the northwest of town. So if you're in North Liberty in, say, Joseph County, interior room away from windows, this is just to the south of South Bend, Indiana. Two circulations, with the southern one being stronger right in here. No tornado warning on it currently, but we are getting closer to the VROT of meeting that tornado warning criteria once again. And these are embedded circulations. These are shallow. So keep that in mind. We're getting closer to the radar, so we're getting a lower profile. The radar is right here. This is the area of rotation, so we're starting to see lower cross sections of these storms. So what we're seeing is getting lower to the ground, and we're getting a better idea. Latest scan showing that continue just on the north side of North Liberty. Here it comes, right in there. So a little bit less holding hands here now, but a nice pocket of some strong winds there, as well as a possible circulation there. So do keep that in mind if you're in the South Bend area. Watch this storm, as it has a history of producing some embedded circulations. Also Plymouth have a nice couple pockets of strong straight line winds, perhaps with some embedded rotation as well. Here comes the next velocity scan. See a nice pocket of winds coming towards the Plymouth area. A couple areas of circulation just to the west-southwest of South Bend, Indiana. Nothing on our debris tracker currently, which is some good news. Straight line winds, tornado possible, as well as a possible spin up tornado. Looking at some of our chaser messages here behind the scenes, and bear with me there. This line is still moving east at between 50 and 60 miles per hour. We are seeing a gradual weakening trend, though, but the strongest portion of the line is this northern half of the line right up in here. This is the strongest portion of the line, but still could have some strong winds to the south along that outflow boundary. Gusty winds, perhaps 30 up to 58 miles per hour. An isolated severe storm can't be ruled out. Here comes the next scan here. See that hook echo continuing here as it moves towards the South Bend area. We're going to have to keep an eye on that as it moves towards town, as we do have some strong pockets of straight line winds, but also some embedded circulation in there as well. We do currently have a weather camera in the Mishawaka area. This is courtesy of Horner Roofing and Siding. This is a roof can here looking west at our storm here. See maybe perhaps a little bit of a shelf cloud there coming into South Bend proper. This is looking west here from Mishawaka, thanks to Horner Roofing and Siding, serving the Mishawaka area. Thank you for sponsoring our weather camera here. If you have a business or a homeowner wanting to sponsor a weather camera, feel free to reach out to us. Always looking for more people willing to sponsor weather cameras, giving us a live view of these storms. Very helpful in severe weather coverage across Indiana. And there's our new tornado warning. Tornado warning in effect now for South Bend, Indiana. 2 areas of rotation here. Not surprised to see that near Westfield and also the North Liberty cell getting close to VROT. Once again, unfortunately, I knew this was a possibility. If you're in South Bend, Indiana, interior room away from windows until this storm has passed. These areas of rotations have intensified once again. Nothing on our debris tracker yet, but the rotation is there to where a tornado could form at any moment. This is going to impact, really, if you're in the entire warning box here, we have multiple circulations. We have 2 circulations here. So if you're in South Bend proper, Mishawaka, Granger, interior room away from windows until this storm has passed. This also includes Elkhart as well, northwestern Elkhart County. Also, if you're in Marshall County, also a couple embedded areas of circulation. Nice hook on radar here and right in here. If you're in Plymouth, Indiana, interior room away from windows, no tornado warning yet, but we are also getting close to VROT just west of Plymouth as well. Strong straight line winds, perhaps a little bit of a circulation just south of US 30 coming towards Plymouth. So that one there is also looking a little bit stronger in Marshall County. So Marshall County, St. Joseph, northwestern Elkhart County, interior room away from windows. Plymouth, Indiana, I would watch this very closely. This is going to come very close to downtown if you're in Plymouth. Right in here is the area to watch, and that's going to move right over town or pretty close to town along US 31 and US 30. Coming back up here to the north, in fact, we're going to turn on our debris tracker here and see just to make sure nothing, I don't see anything on the ground at this point in time. If we were to see something on the ground, so this is like all of these colors here along the leading edge is cluttered. This is dust or birds getting kicked up along the leading edge or some other particles. If we were to see something on the ground, you would see these brighter colors, but back here in the rain, embedded within the rain, showing that there's something in progress along the leading edge. But we don't see that yet, which is good, but something could, the rotation is there. And this has gotten tighter just on the northwest side of South Bend, Indiana, but also just to the west of Plymouth. So multiple areas to keep an eye on here that are now forming circulations to where a tornado could touch down at any moment. Would not be surprised to see a tornado warning for Marshall County either, for right in here. This area of rotation is intensifying just to the west of Plymouth. Some strong straight line winds on the south side, a little bit of an RIJ kicking in, rear inflow jet, with some slower winds to the north. And you can get a little bit of an eddy or a mesovortice to develop there coming right over town. So strong straight line winds coming into the Plymouth area, if not a possible tornado. So do keep that in mind if you're in Plymouth. We do have a tornado possible severe thunderstorm warning in effect, but this definitely has my eye right here. Going to come right over town, if not coming over town right about now. So interior room away from windows until this storm has passed. Here comes the next velocity scan. Yeah, getting pretty tight here, just to the west of Plymouth, Indiana. So interior room away from windows. We're really close to VROT here, actually, on Plymouth. So wouldn't be surprised to see a tornado warning on that if it continues to intensify. Currently, a tornado warning is in effect for the South Bend area. Coming back up here to our debris tracker behind the scenes, I don't see anything picking up debris at the moment, but we're going to have to watch this area here very closely. This area of rotation just on the northwest side of town has picked up in intensity. Still a little bit of broad rotation here just to the southwest of town, State Road 23, but the strongest area of rotation I'm going to be heading near Berrien County, Chano Lakes as well, right over US 20, coming up on I-90 in the 31 corridor there is where this area of rotation is, near the South Bend International or Regional Airport, getting pretty close to you. I don't see any debris getting lofted at the moment, but the rotation is certainly there. So a tornado could form at any moment. And Plymouth still has my eye as well, as this circulation and strong straight line winds coming over town. If not a tornado's on the ground, this pocket is near 70 miles per hour. Let me get a measurement on that. Right about 71 to 70 right in here, just about 1,000 feet off the ground or so. So strong winds of at least 60 miles per hour definitely coming to the ground, or have a good chance of coming to the ground if you're in the Plymouth area. Would not be surprised if that continues to intensify there. If you're in South Bend, Indiana, this is a radar indicated tornado warning. Strongest rotation just to the west of South Bend Regional Airport. Nothing on our debris tracker at the moment, which is good. Hopefully it remains that way. But we do have rotation there holding its own as it's just to the west of South Bend, Indiana. Here's another look at our Horner Roofing and Siding camera in Mishawaka looking towards these storms. You can see a shelf cloud there just above the trees and the houses there as it illuminates by lightning. There's the leading edge of that cell that we're talking about there. Just a shelf cloud on that camera. We are a little bit further away from the storm. But we'll have to keep an eye on that camera there as these storms approach its location. Strong winds still approaching Plymouth, Indiana. Gust front coming over town right now, if not a possible tornado as well. Tornado possible warning remains in effect. Severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible, as well as winds up to 60 miles per hour for Marshall County. But we do have that embedded circulation heading pretty much directly over town. So pocket of straight line winds, if not a possible mesovortice there. So I have to keep that in mind here. Latest scan. Yeah, strong straight line winds directly over Plymouth, perhaps 60 plus miles per hour along and south of US 30. You can see that gust front there, perhaps some broad rotation on the north side of town as well. This does look to be a nice pocket of embedded straight line winds. We're going to have to keep an eye on that storm here. Coming back up here to the north, South Bend, Indiana. Two areas of circulation continue right in here, south side of town, just southwest of Mishawaka. In fact, our camera is going to be looking directly at that southern end of circulation, probably right in here is kind of where the area to look at here. We'll continue to watch this camera here for a few minutes as the area of rotation is going to come pretty close to this camera. If not there on the right side of your screen, this is the Horner Roofing and Siding camera in Mishawaka, Indiana. You can see the base of the storm there being illuminated by lightning, but also the city lights starting to illuminate the base of the storm as it approaches South Bend, Indiana, in the Mishawaka area. Tornado warning remains in effect. This is a radar indicated tornado warning in effect for 23 more minutes here. Nothing on our debris tracker yet, which is good. Hopefully that continues, but spin-up tornadoes can occur very quickly from severe thunderstorms, especially rotating thunderstorms. There's the base of the storm right there just above the trees, and we're looking directly into this storm from our Mishawaka camera. Thanks to the Horner Roofing and Siding based in the Mishawaka area. So kind of right in here is kind of the area to watch, right above the trees near that cell phone tower. That's going to be kind of an area to watch. This circulation is going to come very close to this camera here for the southern circulation, which is currently near Gulliver Park, just south of South Bend, going to come right at this camera for the southern circulation of this storm. This is in Mishawaka, looking due east towards the southern circulation. There's two circulations, one to the west of Roseland, northwest of South Bend, moving into Berrien County, Michigan, and the other one is near Gulliver Park, coming towards Mishawaka on the south side of South Bend. So kind of watch this area right in here. This is the area to watch. Area of rotation coming directly towards our camera. Area of rotation near Gulliver Park. It is broadening out just a little bit, but the kink is still there. There's a shelf cloud there you can see above the trees. This is our gust front associated here. A lot of lightning associated with this. We're going to take radar back here for just a second, and then we'll come back to this camera as the gust front comes through. So our camera location is right here. Broad area circulation right in here, just on the south side of South Bend. You can see it getting close. More of a gust front now, which is good. Still maybe some broad rotation just on the south side of South Bend, pretty close to our camera, which is located right here. Other circulation moving into Berrien County, Michigan. Tornado warning remains in effect for a few more minutes here. Looking down to the south, more of a gust front now. Winds up to 60 miles per hour, as well as a possible tornado. New special weather statements to the south. We're going to take our camera back here as the gust front is now coming over this location, or we're getting very close. Here's a shelf cloud here. We're going to have to look for any left to right motion associated with it. Still a little bit of rotation just to the north of Gulliver Park, heading towards Mishawaka on the south side. Just kind of watching this feature right in here above the trees as it gets lit up by lightning there. Could be a little bit of a wall cloud, perhaps. A little bit of a lowering there nonetheless. It could be a part of the shelf cloud as well. Just have to get a better look at it as it moves close to the camera. Again, area of rotation, broad rotation is heading right towards the camera. So if there is any rotation at the surface, we're going to see it and likely be on the right side of your screen, the right side of the camera here. This is just on the south side of South Bend near Gulliver Park, heading towards Mishawaka, Indiana. This is in northern Indiana, right in here. If any of the power goes out or internet gets off, we will lose our camera. Hopefully that doesn't happen. This is the Horner Roofing and Siding camera in Mishawaka. A nice shelf cloud there as a gust front is approaching, but there is some embedded circulation on radar and a tornado warning within effect here. Two areas of circulation, one near Gulliver Park and the other one moving into Berrien County, Michigan, northwest of Georgetown on the north side of St. Joseph County. Area of rotation on radar would be kind of over here above this utility pole, at least on radar in regards to the camera location. So we're going to have to keep an eye on these clouds here as it moves over our camera location. Shelf cloud getting very close. Gust front's getting ready to go over our camera location here. So either way, we're going to get a pretty good look here at how strong the winds are on the south side of South Bend in the Mishawaka area here. A lot of lightning associated with this storm here as well. Nice shelf cloud over here above the trees. Area of concern kind of right in here above the utility pole there. That could also be part of the shelf cloud or just a creepy looking cloud. Creepy looking low cloud, a CLLC. It could be one of those too. But tornado warning is still in effect for South Bend and Elkhart, including the Dunlap area as well. We're going to see the winds pick up here in a moment. In fact, you can actually see the rain. You can see the trees going white out here as the rain is now approaching this location. You look at the trees starting to sway here as the gust front is coming through at this location. Severe thunderstorm warning and tornado warning remain in effect here. Radar indicated rotation as well as a severe thunderstorm warning for surrounding areas. Winds up to 60 miles per hour and a tornado possible. Now, the area of concern is likely north of this camera now, out of view, with the shelf cloud moving over now, and we're going to see the gust front come through with straight line winds, perhaps up to 60 miles per hour. And penny-sized hail is also possible within this storm here. The gust front's coming through right about now. This is Mishawaka, Indiana, live as these storms are rolling through. Tornado warning remains in effect. Radar indicated. Now, the strongest area of rotation, I will note, is north of the Indiana line. It is near Niles, Michigan, and Berrien County. There's still maybe a little bit of a kink near Mishawaka, but it's more of a gust front there. The rotation has weakened just a little bit, which is good. There's still a couple kinks on the line that we're going to have to keep an eye on, but we're going to get a good sense here on if the storm is still meeting severe criteria or not in terms of straight line winds. We don't have a downstream severe thunderstorm warning yet, so we'll have to see if this storm is still meeting the criteria in terms of straight line winds, or if it has weakened below severe criteria in terms of winds, and we'll see a special weather statement. That is something that I think the National Weather Service is looking at here pretty closely, as these storms do continue to show a gradual weakening trend as they move east across Indiana, which is good. Still, a severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning remain in effect. It is being trimmed back, but does still include South Bend, Gulliver Park, Mishawaka, Elkhart, and Dunlap under a tornado warning. And this tornado warning remains in effect until 1:05 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So about 5 more minutes here. This tornado warning remains in effect. Gust front getting ready to come through here in Mishawaka, right on the outskirts of the gust front. Now, the strongest area of rotation within this tornado warning is near Niles, Michigan, and that is in Berrien County. Looks to be more of a shear line with pockets of embedded straight line winds here. Now, the gust front is probably getting close. If the gust front is over now, this looks to be below severe criteria in terms of straight line winds. We do have an extended severe thunderstorm warning. So the National Weather Service going ahead and issuing a severe thunderstorm warning downstream does include Goshen, Napanee, and Middlebury, Indiana. North Webster and Cromwell are not included. Winds up to 60 miles per hour and penny-sized hail, as well as a possible tornado. So we'll see what the winds are doing here as that gust front continues to move through. But I do want to talk about our new severe thunderstorm warning, which is issued downstream. Napanee, Syracuse, Benton, Goshen, and Middlebury. 60-mile-per-hour winds, as well as a possible tornado. Have these embedded little kinks. One near Bremen, Indiana. I'm going to keep an eye on you, as well as a pocket of some strong straight-line winds there as well. Tornado warning remains in effect. However, near Niles, Michigan, right up here, this was the circulation I was talking about. Areas downstream, maybe a little bit of a kink right there. But other than that, more of a shear line where winds are perpendicular to each other. We have winds going northbound and southbound, running parallel to each other. Kind of more, I guess a better way to look at that would be these winds are going this way and these winds are going this way. They're not really holding hands like we see up here, which is good. We don't want to see holding hands. We want to see winds passing by each other, but not holding hands. But tornado warning remains in effect here for 13 more minutes. It does include Elkhart and South Bend, Indiana. This is radar indicated rotation. And you're going to have to keep an eye on this pocket here near the Bremen area. Perhaps maybe a little bit of a mesovortice there, possible rotation starting to develop near Bremen, if not a pocket of embedded strong wind straight line winds there associated in the Bremen area. Going up and down our line, there is nothing on our debris tracker for any of these circulations at this point in time. But spin-up tornadoes can occur quite quickly and sometimes do not leave a debris signature on radar. So if you're anywhere within a severe thunderstorm warning, enter your room away from windows until this storm has passed. Going back on our Mishawaka camera now, the gust front should be moving through right about now. But looking at the winds on this camera here, the trees are not moving very fast at all. So perhaps this portion of the line is weakening. We certainly hope that is the case. This is a live view in Mishawaka as the gust front is moving through. Torrential rainfall, a lot of lightning, but the winds do here appear to be below 60 miles per hour, which is good. Judging by the way these tree branches are lightly swaying, we'll have to see if that trend continues, or maybe the gust front isn't quite here yet, but on radar, it looks like it should be there right now. So perhaps this section of the line is weakening there. If you're in the Mishawaka area or South Bend area, if you guys are watching the stream, let me know what you guys are seeing in terms of winds at that location. But this is a live look in Mishawaka. Right now, it looks to be below severe criteria, at least in Mishawaka, which is good news there. At least I have not, on this camera anyway, I've not seen winds that appeared to be up to 60 miles per hour, which is good news. Hopefully they're staying aloft and it's running into that stable air mass down below. A lot of lightning and heavy rain, though, for sure, and some gusty winds, but at least up in here, it looks like maybe this line is beginning to weaken here a little bit. Tornado warning still remains in effect, with a new severe thunderstorm warning downstream. Likely going to maybe let this tornado warning expire here with the severe thunderstorm warning taking over. I don't see any area of rotation that screams an imminent tornado at this point in time. More of a shear line where winds are perpendicular to each other. The reds, we have winds going northbound, and greens going towards the radar, kind of like this, or maybe maybe out of the due west there. But we do have some pockets of some stronger winds, but this line is definitely on the downtrend. It is weakening quite a bit. If we go back down south here towards Indianapolis, looking at the southern portion of this line, it's just falling apart. We have a large outflow boundary, so a gust front out ahead of the line, so you're going to feel the winds, before you feel the rain down here. This entire line likely has a large shelf cloud associated with it, where you're going to feel rain cooled air. The temperatures are going to drop. It'll smell like rain, but it's not raining yet. The rain is still back here. So we have a gust front about 5 to perhaps 10 miles in places ahead of the rain, from Howard County all the way down to Brazil, Indiana, and Knox County, getting on an outflow boundary as well. The southern portion of the line is substantially weaker than the northern portion of the line, and we are seeing this downtrend taking place right on schedule, and right as forecasted as well. So we're glad to see that. We didn't want to see what we saw in Illinois continue across the entire state of Indiana. That would be bad news. Tornado warning getting trimmed back still remains in effect. But looking at radar here, I personally do not see, I guess, anything that really screams a tornado within that portion of the line. Back down here to the south, though, we have a little bit of a kink to talk about near Bourbon, Indiana. Right in here, a little bit of a mesovortice there. You can see this hook echo here. We have an inflow notch and some rain-cooled air coming out behind it. So we're going to have to watch this area here near Bourbon, Indiana. A little bit of a mesovortice starting to show up there. If you are in the Bourbon area, I would watch this very closely, or perhaps downstream, Etna Green, State Road 19, Hastings, and Clonette, Indiana. I would be in an interior room away from windows until the storm has passed. Same goes for Milford. I would watch this storm pretty closely. Here's the latest scan. A little bit of rotation. Still showing up on radar, as well as near the Napanee area as well. So 2 kinks downstream, worth keeping an eye on. Under this severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible tag associated with it, if you're in the Napanee area and Bourbon area, 2 areas of rotation that we're going to have to keep an eye on here. Nothing on our debris tracker here behind the scenes, but these are 2 areas of interest where we do have a little bit of small circulations showing up along the leading edge, in pockets of embedded straight line winds embedded in those circulations as well. Even if these circulations do not go on to produce tornadoes, they can pull straight line winds down to the ground. Severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible, winds up to 60 miles per hour for the Goshen area, as well as Syracuse, Napanee, Benton, Elkhart, and Middlebury, all under a severe thunderstorm warning. Winds up to 60 miles per hour and a tornado possible. Tornado warning still in effect for South Bend and Elkhart. Likely going to see this tornado warning expire. I currently do not see really any rotation within this tornado warning. More of a shear line here. We have winds perpendicular to each other. Winds going northbound and winds going towards the radar, but they're not holding hands. When we see holding hands, that's not a good thing to see. Kind of like what we see here, like embedded couplets, where you see brighter greens followed by darker reflectivity. This is a little bit of a spin there, a little bit of spin there, but we don't see any of those kinks within the tornado warning anymore, which is good news. Hopefully that continues here, associated with this. Looking on our debris tracker, though, we currently don't have anything that really looks like debris at this point in time for any tornado that would be on the ground in the warning or surrounding the warning, which is good news. But we do have embedded pockets of straight line winds up to 60 miles per hour, and a tornado possible remains on our severe thunderstorm warning as well. Likely going to see this tornado warning trimmed back or canceled here in about 5 minutes, is when this tornado warning does expire. If you are on the south side of this line, down towards the Indianapolis area, Terre Haute, I think your severe weather risk is extremely low here tonight. I really don't expect severe weather anywhere across this area, across southern Indiana. Just rain for you guys, some embedded thunder. This is mainly just a rainmaker now. The severe weather threat is over, as the atmosphere is very stable ahead of this batch of rain across southern Indiana. No severe weather is expected down here the remainder of the night. And it's our severe weather risk is starting to lower across Indiana as a whole in terms of widespread severe weather. Our line is weakening right on cue, but we are still seeing severe thunderstorms across northern Indiana. This area here has the best potential. If you're not in this area, keep an eye on these storms for some gusty outflow boundaries associated with it. Winds the 30 to 50 miles per hour in this zone here. But other than that, these storms look to remain below severe criteria if you're south of US 24. Going back up here to northern Indiana, still have a tornado warning and severe thunderstorm warning remaining in effect. Some nice pockets of some straight line winds, perhaps. Likely going to see our tornado warning expire here pretty soon. I believe it expires here in about a minute, 4 minutes for this tornado warning. So likely going to see that expire. I don't see any signs of immediate rotation within this line, more of a shear line or a gust front associated with it versus imminent rotation. So that is some good news. Maybe a few pockets of a little bit of spin within this line, but mainly just a straight line wind risk here with some pockets of gustier winds that we'll have to keep an eye on here. There is a little bit of, a few pockets of spin associated with this. This southern one, though, has my eye. We're getting really close to the radar here. So this southern area has my eye. In fact, it's actually getting a little bit tighter there. So if you're in Warsaw, Indiana, I would watch this very closely, as this is an area of spin that has developed here, and it's very low to the ground. We're very close to the radar site here. So that's a decent area of rotation there, just to the west of Warsaw, south of US 30. Right in here. I don't see anything on debris tracker yet. But with the radar being really low to the ground, if something were to touch down, we'd likely see it on radar. But that's getting pretty close to VROT there near Warsaw, Indiana. And do we got a special weather statement? We do. Special weather statement for the storm. Winds up to 50 miles per hour. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit stronger winds, though, just to the west of Warsaw, Indiana. So that area of rotation looks like it did fan out just a little bit. Some good news there. Some pockets of some stronger winds, perhaps, coming down to the ground there. Special weather statement for areas south. Does include Wabash County, even all the way down to Marion, Indiana. Special weather statement. Look at this large outflow boundary here out ahead of these storms. That's good news. These storms are weakening very, very quickly. They're running into that stable air mass out ahead of these storms. These storms are going to continue to gust out and weaken as they move towards I-69. That was anticipated here tonight. And thankfully, we are seeing that realization take place as these storms are just running out of fuel. They're running into an ever more toxic environment for these storms. The atmosphere is ever more stable the further east these storms go, and that's ultimately going to meet their demise, as it's just not going to have enough instability or support to support severe weather for much longer here across Indiana. So our severe weather risk is going down. Probably aren't going to see too many more severe thunderstorm warnings as we start to begin the rapid weakening trend of our line here. Go ahead and toggle off our tornado warning, as we do not have a tornado warning. We have a baseline severe thunderstorm warning. Tornado possible, winds up to 60 miles per hour. And you can see embedded pockets of winds here, right in here, and some gusty pockets of winds, perhaps up to 60 miles per hour. Overall, though, this line is on a weakening trend. It is on the downfall. It's starting to gust out. It's also slowing down. It's losing its forward momentum. That's also going to aid in a weakening trend for this complex as well. So that is some good news. We do expect these storms to continue to weaken as they move towards I-69. We are on a rapid downtrend here with these storms. I think we're going to see more special weather statements take over versus severe thunderstorm warnings here on out here for most of this event. We saw our winds in the Mishawaka area from storms that moved over, and they did appear to be below severe criteria there. So there's isolated pockets of winds up to 60 miles per hour, but I don't think everyone is going to see that within this line. Just kind of like what we see here near the radar. Just, individual pockets of perhaps winds up to 60 miles per hour, but there's gaps within those gust fronts, and not everyone is going to see winds of 60 miles per hour from here on out. More along the line of winds to 30 to 58 miles per hour, perhaps a little bit stronger in embedded pockets, kind of like what we see here coming into Leesburg. This is probably an embedded pocket of winds up to 60 miles per hour right in here, coming up to State Road 15, but it's not widespread. Not everybody is going to see that, as look, the winds of the north, they're a lot dimmer than what you see here. They're not as bright in reflectivity, indicating a little bit weaker. Here comes the radar beam coming around once again. And you can just see those isolated pockets of winds coming back south. If there's one word of the night that maybe you didn't know before, outflow boundary is a great little weather potato chip for you here tonight. This draping line here protruding out away from the storms. This is a gust front termed an outflow boundary. This is rain-cooled air as thunderstorms go outflow dominant, meaning the gust front is going to outrun the thunderstorm or the showers and acts as a mini cold front ahead of these storms, further stabilizing the atmosphere, further weakening the storms behind it. But they can also spark off new showers and storms ahead of it as well, but likely going to cause some gusty winds along this, but also further choking out these storms by stabilizing the atmosphere out ahead of it. And you can see that outflow boundary continues all the way from Wabash to Warsaw, Indiana. Outflow boundary. This limits any tornado potential behind this, so the tornado threat is becoming very low across Indiana. More on from here on out. Winds 30 to 60 miles per hour from here on out are the primary hazards, with isolated pockets up to severe criteria, widespread winds of 30 to 50 miles per hour. But we do have embedded pockets up to 60 miles per hour, such as this one right in here near Leesburg. Nice pocket up to 60 miles per hour, but the severe weather risk is going down across the state. As a whole, we are seeing a rapid weakening trend with these storms, which is good news. These storms have weakened dramatically over the past 40 minutes, and that trend is continuing as these storms move off to the east. They're also slowing down a little bit as well. Currently, the strongest pocket of winds in this entire complex is near Leesburg, right on the edge of our special weather statement and severe thunderstorm warning, kind of right on the box there, right there near Leesburg. That's the strongest pocket of winds that I can find within this whole line, actually stretching from Michigan all the way down to Frankfort, Indiana. That is currently the strongest pocket of winds that I can find in the state of Indiana. Probably a nice isolated pocket of winds up to 60 miles per hour coming near the Leesburg area. And that's a one isolated area, with the rest of us probably seeing between 30 and 50 miles per hour. I haven't seen too many other Elkhart County is in the clear. Well, I guess not all of Elkhart County. I guess St. Joseph County is in the clear, rather. Elkhart County have a little bit more to go. Severe thunderstorm warning continues there. If you're west of Elkhart County, though, northwest Indiana, you guys are good. Go to bed. You guys are in the clear if you're behind this line. And also, if you guys are like Indianapolis and south, no severe weather is expected tonight for you guys. Maybe some showers, maybe a few gusty thunderstorms. But if I take back my one screen here, and kind of draw a line, if you're south of like this line here, no severe weather is expected here tonight. Maybe just some gusty showers, we'll call it, as this complex continues to move east. In Fort Wayne, Indiana, I think the severe risk is quite low here the remainder of the night. Maybe a few gusty showers, winds 30 to 45 miles per hour. But I don't think these storms will be severe moving into Fort Wayne, Indiana. I do think you guys are in the clear here tonight. We'll have to watch for a few gusty showers, but I think the severe weather risk is very low. Same thing goes for Huntington and basically any areas south of 24. But thank you for staying with us here for our severe weather coverage here the evening. This line was a lot more impressive than Illinois. We saw significant severe weather today. In fact, a severe weather outbreak from Wisconsin all the way down to Texas. We saw multiple tornadoes. And at one point, there were near 20 tornado warnings going on at the same time, from isolated supercells to this line of storms from Wisconsin all the way to Texas. So a very busy day in terms of severe weather. Thankfully, this storm system arrived later in Indiana. That allowed things to stabilize before the line moved into Indiana, minimizing from what could have been a bigger event if this arrived earlier and we had better forcing and we didn't have a cap in place. The shear parameters were definitely in place today across the entire state. Thankfully, we remain capped and we didn't have any forcing to get storms up and going. Nice pocket of some stronger winds moving towards North Webster and the Leesburg area, right in there. Your radar beam's going to get it there, right in there. This pocket here is really the only area that I really see that's meeting severe criteria at this point in time or near it. Up here in Elkhart, Indiana, if you're in northern Elkhart County, if you guys are watching, I'd love to know how strong the winds are at your location. Based on radar, they look below severe criteria, but I'm curious to know what you guys are experiencing right now. This looks to be a pretty weak shear line from about right in here. I don't see it meeting severe criteria based on radar, but I'd be curious to know if there's stronger winds perhaps below the radar. The strongest gust that I see is near Leesburg, crossing State Road 15, headed towards Syracuse and North Webster. But this area here seems to be the strongest portion of the line. Perhaps embedded pockets of winds 50 to 60 miles per hour there. But if you're in like Elkhart County and north, I'd be curious to know how strong the winds are at your location there. Currently, the strongest winds, though, do appear to be near Leesburg or just on the north side of town. We're very close to the radar, so what we're seeing here is likely mixing down to the ground or at least a couple hundred feet above the ground. But we are ever stabilizing near the surface, so I'd be curious to know if these winds are in fact mixing down to the ground or if they're staying aloft a couple hundred feet off the ground and just not quite making it all the way to the ground. West end of Irish Lake, not much here. Lots of lightning and thunder. Thank you, Tim. The gusts from Mishawaka are about, now is that current or is that during the storm when it went through? Based on the weather camera when it blew through Mishawaka, I wouldn't be surprised if that was during the storm. It didn't look overly severe there. Cheyenne, yeah, just a tick below that line. Mainly north of 24 has the best chance for a strong to severe storm. If you're south of 24, you guys are in the clear. Could have some gusty showers though, winds 30 to perhaps 45 miles an hour. But I think the severe weather risk is really going to be limited from here on out. I think most from here on out, in my honest opinion, we're going to see pockets perhaps reaching 58 miles per hour. That's the baseline for a severe thunderstorm. But because our atmosphere is stabilizing at the surface, what that's going to do, we're going to see these cloud bases become elevated. And because we have a stable layer at the surface, that's going to act as a lid, right? That's going to prevent these winds from coming all the way down to the ground. Their winds are going to hit the stable layer and they're going to bounce back up. They're just going to ride that layer that temperature difference, that stability layer in the lower atmosphere from the ground to about 1,000 feet up or a couple thousand feet up. And they're going to stay up there. They're just going to bounce along it because it's stable and they're not going to mix all the way down to the ground, if that makes sense. So because we're stabilizing, it's going to make it harder and harder for these winds to come all the way down to the ground. That's also going to weaken these storms as well. We're running out of fuel. Notice how these storms, when they entered Indiana, they were moving at 65 to 70 miles an hour. Now they're moving at 45. We've lost the forward momentum with these storms. They're moving into a stable environment to where the gust front is moving faster than the rain is moving. And that's when the gust front gets ahead of a storm, we call that outflow dominant. These gust front, that's rain cooled air moving ahead of the storm, and they act as localized cold fronts at the surface, further stabilizing the atmosphere ahead of these storms, cutting off any instability that these storms are going to ingest in their updrafts. And that's further going to help weaken the storm system. And that's really what we expected. We expected it by right now. Really, what we're expecting is this forecast is going on par, and we're thankful to see that. Where this line, see this little line from Kokomo here? This is an outflow boundary, and that is the rain-cooled air outrunning the gust front, outrunning these storms. So this gust front is traveling faster than what the storms are going. These storms are slowing down, but the rain-cooled air is traveling faster than what these storms are going, and that's stabilizing the atmosphere out ahead of that, further enhancing the weakening trend with these storms. So overall, really good signals all the way around. And, the tornado risk not zero, but I think we're getting pretty close. We're getting pretty close to being severe free here in Indiana, becoming just a rain and gusty shower event. We've also lost a lot of cloud to ground lightning as well, a further sign of weakening versus intensification. So I think we're getting very close to being severe weather free in Indiana. Can't rule out a stray warning tonight, but from here on out, I think it's going to be a special weather statement kind of a night. We're going to see winds of 30 to 50 miles per hour. So it's still gusty enough to blow your trash can into your neighbor's yard. So if your trash can's empty or in a vulnerable location, like between buildings where wind could get squeezed, probably a good idea to get that picked up so it doesn't end up in Fred's yard tomorrow morning. That'd be a trashy way to wake up Saturday morning, pun intended, to find a trash can in your yard. So that's kind of the winds that we're talking about here tonight. Enough winds to blow some sticks around, maybe blow some trash cans over. We're really starting to enter that phase of this event where we're going to switch from severe winds to gusty winds, 30 to 45 to perhaps 50 miles per hour from here on out. Can't rule out winds gusting to 58 miles per hour. That's severe storm criteria. We need 58 or greater to meet a severe thunderstorm warning criteria. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning, but I'm really struggling to find pockets of upwards of 58 miles per hour. Personally, I think they're above a PBL, planetary boundary layer. That's a stable layer near the surface, acting as a lid, preventing from those stronger winds mixing down to the ground. They're hitting that lid and they're bouncing right back up. They're staying aloft. So I think that's what we're seeing here tonight across Indiana. And they really look unimpressive here. As soon as this warning disappears, we'll likely end our coverage. And for the remaining of the night, so we're going to see more blue boxes. These blue boxes are special weather statements. A lot of special weather statements are relatively unknown for people because they don't trigger your emergency alert system. A lot of people, every time we do this stream and I say special weather statement, we see special weather. What? Like, what is that? A special weather statement is issued by the National Weather Service when there's a strong thunderstorm, but it's not severe yet, meaning that we have winds anywhere between about 35 is about the threshold for a special weather statement. Special weather statements are up to the radar operator's discretion on when to issue them. Not all 35-mile-an-hour winds get a special weather statement, but that's kind of when we start to see them. Special weather statements in up to 55 miles per hour is kind of when we see that. Once we see wind gusts, above 55 miles per hour, a lot of times we'll get a warning, but now they're canceling our special weather statements. And that's saying something. We're seeing winds probably below 30 miles per hour or up to 35 miles per hour or less with our gust front here. And this is a textbook outflow boundary where we see the gust front outrunning our showers and thunderstorms. where we're going to feel the wind come through, temperatures drop, the humidity is just going to go away. It's going to vanish behind this line. And then the rain comes in and some embedded thunder. That's really what we're talking about here. And I personally don't think we're going to see many downstream warnings, if at all. This is getting sampled here by the National Weather Service in northern Indiana. So the strongest portion of the line is getting sampled by the NWS right now. They have better instruments there at that office, and we're going to get a really good look at the storm right now. So if they don't issue a downstream warning after being sampled, that tells me that these winds are not making their way down to the ground and we're weakening very, very quickly. And the fact that we're seeing the confidence increase to where we're able to cancel special weather statements, that also tells me that these winds are below severe criteria as well. 35 to 40 miles per hour possible, with a low chance of a 50 plus miles per hour winds. So the severe weather risk is almost over here for Indiana. Now it's just a rain and gusty shower event with embedded thunders. So right on cue, the forecast verified as predicted here today. Best chances of severe northwest Indiana, as the line was at its strongest point out of northern Illinois, moving into Indiana before quickly weakening before it approached the I-69 corridor. So right as forecasted today. And this will be our last severe weather chance before we see a break here next week. We could see some active pattern returning here by the month end, but I don't expect any severe weather tomorrow across Indiana. It's shifted well further east into eastern Ohio. The cold front will be coming through tomorrow morning. Temperatures are going to drop throughout the day tomorrow. Your weather app may say we're going to be in the 60s tomorrow. Yeah, that's true, but you're at your high temperature right now. Today is technically tomorrow, so your high today is what your temperature is now, and the cold front's going to work its way through starting tomorrow morning in northwest Indiana. By 4 o'clock tomorrow, the entire state of Indiana will be in the 40s or close to it. Wind chills will be in the 20s tomorrow night, and we could even have a slight chance of some wet snowflakes across northeast Indiana tomorrow night. Don't shoot the messenger, but by later this evening, Saturday evening, we could have a few lake effect snow showers up in here coming off Lake Michigan for about a 1 to 2 hour window before temperatures drop into the 30s tomorrow night. Widespread frost is possible if winds are able to calm enough. If we remain windy tomorrow night, that'll help prevent some frost, widespread frost, or even a hard freeze from forming. But temperatures are going to be cold enough tomorrow night. We're going to see widespread frost from southern Indiana all the way to northern Indiana. Temperatures in the 40s along the Ohio River. But we have that on deck here tomorrow. Indiana is going to pull a classic Indiana. In fact, let me just pull up the weather model here. I will show you what this looks like here. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning. I just personally think they're going to let it expire. I don't see anything on Mesonets either even close to 58 miles per hour. So I think they're going to let that expire here. But let me show you what I mean here. Let me go to 00Z. This is our main model run. These were our high temperatures here today. Mid-80s across Indiana. So here we are right about now where the storms are currently. Rain's cooling us down, but we're in the 60s across Indiana. But look in Iowa right now. They're in the 30s. 3-0. Yeah, that's headed our way. Here we are tomorrow at 9 a.m. Your high temperatures are now on your weather app. So what it says it's going to be for Saturday, that's right now. It's not going to get any warmer unless you're in extreme portions of southeast Indiana or you're in the 70s tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. at sunrise. Here we are at 1 p.m., lunchtime. We're in the low 40s across northwest Indiana. Can you find the cold front? Let me back it up here. Try to find the cold front. This is a hard one to find, but there's the cold front. Here we are at 3 p.m. A few 60s, barely hanging on across southeast Indiana around Cincinnati and Louisville. But we're in the 40s for the majority of the day here tomorrow. And here we are. Here's 5 p.m. The entire state is in the 40s and even perhaps upper 30s around the Angola area, St. Joseph or Steuben County. Here we are tomorrow night. Here's 10 p.m. We're in the 30s north of I-70 by 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Here we are Sunday morning. widespread 30s across about 2/3 of the state. So if you are basically not in southwest Indiana, there's a chance of frost here tomorrow evening and even a freeze potentially across far northern Indiana. But look when I click on the wind chills. We start seeing 20s north of I-70. Wind chills are in the 20s tomorrow morning or Sunday morning at 7 a.m. It's just going to be cold. So we have this to look forward to for our Sunday, but we do warm up. Thankfully on Sunday, temperatures do rebound in moderation, still below average. We warm up around 60 degrees across southern Indiana, but we're stuck in the 40s and 50s across northern Indiana Sunday afternoon, and then cool back off. Perhaps a hard freeze and widespread frost Sunday night into Monday. So we have that behind our cold front here tonight. But in terms of widespread severe weather after tonight, we don't see it. So currently, this severe thunderstorm warning looks to be expiring, and I don't even see a special weather statement out ahead of it at this point. But we may see one, but right now, I think winds are below severe criteria. Special weather statements, usually they start popping up 35 to 45 miles per hour is when we'll start seeing those. But the fact that all special weather statements have been canceled and our severe thunderstorm warning has not been reissued, even with a special weather statement, tells me that these storms are well below severe criteria. Coming into Huntington County, though, we do have a little bit of an outflow boundary, a little bit of a gust front, right where you see that green line from Columbia City down to Kokomo, just to the west of Noblesville, winds up to 30 miles per hour or so. But in terms of widespread severe weather, I think we're pretty much in the clear. I think our severe weather risk is over here for Indiana. Could have been a lot bigger of an event if our cold front were to arrive a little bit earlier. We had a lot of instability this afternoon. We had the wind shear was there. We had really nice photographs supportive of supercells across Indiana today. But what was our limiting factor was we didn't have a cold front, we didn't have a boundary, and we were capped. The air could not rise and cool with height. It could not ascend and develop into thunderstorms this afternoon. We were stable as a rock because the air was not able to lift. We didn't have a boundary or a cold front until this storm complex moved into Indiana. So thankfully, timing did not work out with this system from what otherwise could have been a larger event similar to what Illinois saw if it arrived a couple hours earlier. So thankfully, that didn't happen here today. Thankfully, we kind of saw the tail end of it with the strongest storms being Northwest Indiana as expected. So everything seemed to really go according to plan here today. If you have any damage or anything like that, let us know. In Northwest Indiana, we saw some considerable severe thunderstorm warnings, as well as some mesovortices, some isolated spins, areas of rotation on radar earlier this evening. But for right now, this severe thunderstorm warning is being allowed to expire. Looks like they are not going to reissue one. And everything appears to be below severe criteria at this point in time. Could we see an additional severe thunderstorm warning tonight? It's possible, but I think it's unlikely. I think right now we're at the point where we're going to see winds gusting 30 to 45 miles per hour. I do believe the severe weather risk is over for Indiana. This warning is being allowed to expire. Our line of storms is outrunning our tornado watch. Likely going to see our tornado watch canceled here. It does go for another hour and 20 minutes, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that canceled early here. I just don't see anything widespread severe continuing here across Indiana. Perhaps a few sporadic gusts of 50 miles per hour, but that is about it. So get some sleep here. Shut your windows tonight. It's going to get some, if you don't want rain in there. If you like rain in 60 degrees, leave them open or cracked. But by tomorrow afternoon, definitely shut them as that cold front comes through, as we'll start the day in the 60s right now, but we're going to end the day in the 40s with wind chills in the 20s by tomorrow morning. By Sunday morning, wind chills will be in the 20s north of I-70 and 30s across the remainder of Indiana. But thankfully, by tomorrow afternoon, Sunday afternoon, we do rebound in moderation, 60s southern Indiana and 40s northern Indiana, approaching 50 degrees. So we do rebound, but it is going to be a lot colder than the mid 80s that we saw today. and a lot lower humidity. Humidity is going to fall off a cliff as well, dew points in the 30s and 20s. So it'll feel a lot drier and colder, more like a March pattern versus June that we had here today. It definitely was a summer-like pattern today. Mid-June is what it felt like here today with some near record highs. I have to look to see if we broke any record highs today, but we were close for several areas here today. But we have a couple days where we're going to be below average here before we're back to the 70s and perhaps 80 degrees by midweek. But we have another cold front coming to end the month into May. So more 50s and 60s are on the way, with more frost chances as well, perhaps into the first week of May, especially across northern Indiana. So keep that in mind for any gardeners out there as well. With that being said, they're letting this warning expire. We're going to go ahead and end our stream here. The severe weather risk is over for Indiana. There could be a stray strong thunderstorm or gusty shower, winds to 30 to 50 miles per hour for the remainder of the night. Rain, embedded thunder, but the severe weather risk, I do believe, is over. So one more shout out to our sponsor for our live stream, Rookers Outdoor Services, based in Indianapolis, proudly serving the Indianapolis and surrounding areas. If you have any trees that could become problematic when the next severe storm hits, give them a call. Or maybe you just don't like that tree and you want to put another one in your yard. They can take care of that too. They can cut that one down for you and get it out of there. 317-665-3969, Rookers Outdoor Services, based in Indianapolis. Trees can become a hassle during severe weather and become problematic, not only a hazard to vehicles, your house, but can also be problematic. So you have any trees that are concerned for severe weather, give them a call at 317-665-3969. With that being said, we're going to end our severe weather stream here tonight. I do believe that our severe weather risk is over. Likely going to see our tornado watch canceled about an hour early as severe weather has come to an end. The severe thunderstorm warning expires in 3 minutes. Could have some gusty showers from Marion, Indiana, up to Fort Wayne, winds to 30 to 45 miles per hour, perhaps 50. But I do believe we are done with 58 or greater meeting severe criteria. With that being said, have a wonderful evening. Hopefully we don't have to come back on here live, but the severe weather risk is over. Go to bed. Shut your windows if you're in the line of the shower. Could have some gusty showers moving in, but our severe weather risk is over.